Hello, and today is the start of a new series in my adventures in Battle for Azeroth and my continuing expansion into all my different professions. Today I'm going to start on Inscription. So I have my fresh 120 rogue here, Samadan, and he's going to learn Inscription. We're going to go through my thought process as to how I'm going to level up the profession, and then what I'm going to do in terms of how I'm going to try and make it as profitable as possible, and then look at to how I can expand that and diversify and just see where the opportunities for gold making lie in this profession. Now, this is a profession that I know very little about. I know that you mill herbs and then turn those into inks, which you then use for making things like glyphs and trinkets and all sorts of other inscription goodies. I also know there's something to do with a vendor in Legion, which I haven't looked into yet. So I'm approaching this from a completely sort of fresh perspective where I don't know anything, and I'm about to go through my thought processes as to what I would do to start gathering this information and learning the profession, and then seeing how I can maximize the profession. So I'm here in Borealis at the moment, outside the Inscription Trainer, which is just in the professions area. So I'm going to go through and start the process, train in Inscription. So I'm going to take the base Inscription for 10 copper. It's also worth noting here that as a fresh 120, I have about 5,000 gold on me, which I gained through leveling up and doing quests and things like that. So I'm going to approach this, rather than use the gold from my previous characters, I'm actually going to see if I can just use the gold I've got here. And if I do need to go out and get some more gold, I'll have to look at what kind of resources are available to me and how I would approach this from a character that doesn't happen to have all the backing of all the other characters that I've got. So this would be handy if you were looking to save up for the Brutosaur mount and you were wanting to get started and you're not sure where to begin. So I'll go through all the different websites and things like that I'm going to learn about Inscription myself, and then hopefully share that knowledge with you. So I'll carry on with Cultiran Inscription, so this is a separate part of just BfA only Inscription. And then I guess I'll learn everything I can at the moment. All of those. And then I can see here the next thing that gets unlocked is at skill level 25. So I'm going to have to get to skill level 25 first and foremost. Now I do believe I also need to get if I switch the standard interface, I believe I need an inking set as well. I'll probably need some other things like this, like the powder, the vanishing powder and the satchel, but I believe this is a bit like the jeweler's kit and the various things that each profession needs. There's usually something that you need, so let's pick up one of those. So we're sat at 5,100 at the moment. Okay, so we'll go into my spellbook and abilities and go into my professions. So we have inscription and milling icons here, so we'll take those and we'll drag them in onto the side so we can have a look at these. So we're at 1 of 175 for Cultiran inscription. If we go onto the actual inscription here, we've got some Draenor inscription here and some classic inscription up to 1 of 300. We're not going to focus on these just yet. I'm going to focus on leveling the main one first. So obviously we've got some inks here that we can make, and we'll have a look at those. But first I'm going to bring up the wow-professions.com website. This is one of my go-to places for learning how to skill up with professions. So we have profession leveling guides here, and going in here onto inscription, we can learn here. So this will give me a list of everything to do for BfA leveling. Now this may not be the most cost-effective way of doing it, but it is the most straightforward way of doing it. So we may follow this loosely, and if I spot anything that I can do as a profit, then I'll add that in addition to everything else I have. So we've got Cultiran inscription as we're Alliance. We've learnt that. So these are all the different supplies we need. And then we've got milling and pigments. First off, I'm interested in just having a look at, okay, so we need to go, and milling gives you skill points all the way up to 25. So we can start milling some of these herbs, I guess. So if you don't want to mill a herb like anchorweed, you just leave that out. Okay, so we're looking at each of these. So what I would do here is, okay, I'm going to find the cheapest herb that I can buy out of this list. So I need to make a list of all the herbs and see what I can buy them for. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to another website, the Undermine Journal, and then we're going to look on here. So I'm on my server, Shadow Song, and we can go here onto Herbalism, and these are all of the Battle for Azeroth herbs, and now we can actually take a TSM string of these herbs and we can create a group based on these. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to copy this string here. So this is all the item IDs of all the BfA herbs. So I'm going to copy that. Then we're going to go back into the game and we're going to start with a shopping operation. Okay, so we're in our fresh TSM with nothing assigned. So from our base group, we're going to collect this up and we're going to make a new group, and we're going to call this maybe Inscription. And then inside that, we're going to have another subgroup. I'm going to call that Herbs. And then inside that, I'm going to do another group, and I'm going to call that BfA Herbs. Okay, so we're going to bring in our list of item IDs that we just copied from the Undermine Journal. So I can go into Import Export, and I'm going to go and select BfA Herbs here. And once we're on the import side here, you can click in here and Control V, paste in the whole item IDs, because this is all of the BfA herbs. So I'll click import there, and that looks correct. All the different ones we got them. So I'll click confirm on that. So now when I go to my group here, and we click on BfA herbs, we can see all of the different herbs and everything associated that with the gold prices of them all here. You've also got a mill value for each of these herbs, because TSM has automatically worked out, because I've got Inscription, I can mill these and it's giving me a value. So let's say for instance Akunda's Bite, I can buy that for 17 gold currently, so it's quite expensive, and but I can mill that for a value of about 13 gold if you take into the averages of each of the pigments I can get from that. At some stage it might be worth me buying each of these pigments, so I'll probably do another shopping list for each of those. We'll have a look at that in a moment. But at the moment I'm going to need to mill at least a few of these so I can scale up to at least to 25. So I'm going to have to buy some of these. I'm going to find the ones at the cheapest price. So let's make a shopping operation. So go in Group Operations here. I have nothing assigned. I've taken all my base group stuff off. So we're going to add a shopping operation here. We'll create a new one. I'm going to call this something like average buy. I don't really have a average buy price per se on this character, so we're going to also use DB market. So we're going to add in first, to take the first of either average buy, so AVG buy, with a comma and a space, and then at the end of that we need another bracket. So that's the basic shopping operation. So if you've got an average buy price, use that. If you haven't got an average buy price, use DB market. So press enter to confirm that. We'll keep show auctions above max price so we can keep that on, and everything else should be fine. So that's now assigned to BfA herbs. So if we then go to our auction house, let me just move over here and bring up our Brutosaur. And so now we've got a shopping operation straight into BfA herbs. So we'll have a look here and we'll run a shopping scan of all of the BfA herbs, and then we can have a look and see which ones are the cheapest. I don't know how many I'm going to need to buy. I have to be aware of my gold at the moment, because I've only got 5,000 gold, so that's not going to go very far. So if we go back to the Inscription leveling guide, so it's saying here 6 million gives skill points up to 25. You should mill around 100 to 150 herbs from one herb until all your pigments into inks until you reach 50. Okay, so that seems a reasonable step to do. So we need about over 100 of these. And looking at this list, we've got some Winter's Kiss here that is actually quite a reasonable price at the moment comparatively. We do have some purchase data here which is based on my Druid Awakening, but looking at the min buyout there of 6 gold versus a region sale average or a region market value average of 6 gold, so that's about on par at 6 gold 70. And the other cheap one here is Sea Stalk, which is also reasonably priced. This is coming in at 5 gold 80 because of my average buy price. So Awakening has this, but I'm going to ignore what my alchemist has in terms of herbs. I could get them from him, but I'm going to see what I can do as a self-contained learning this profession from scratch. So I'm kind of making it a bit harder for myself. But we'll see what we can do here. So Sea Stalk is actually marginally cheaper, but there's only 7 of them at that price. And then we go into 664 for there. Whereas Winter's Kiss, there's absolutely loads of it here at 670. So I think I'll take, well, let's look at the milling value. That's 13 gold 98. And that's 13 gold 98. So it's exactly the same. So it's probably the same sort of standard herb. So I think I'm going to go for some Sea Stalk and buy a stack of 200. I wonder how much a stack of 200 is. Let's right click on this and we can see what the price is of a stack, and we can see here it's going to cost us 1,300 gold for a stack of 200. It did say we only needed up to 150, but the price goes up quite a bit there, and Winter's Kiss 1329 versus 1340, so it's very similar. We'll just buy 1 stack. Let's start with that. Okay, so let's head on over to the mailbox. Okay, I'm going to pick up that Sea Stalk, and now let's look at how we can mill this. There was that macro that did look quite handy, but let's see how it actually works. So crush 5 herbs to create pigments for making inks. This will destroy the herb in the process. Okay, so you click on that, and then you've got the icon, and then you click on the herbs to do that. So let's just test this out. Milling that seems to have gone quite fast. We got 2 ultramarine pigments and 1 crimson pigment. So ultramarine is that's the one that's actually used the most here, and we skilled up to 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag milling down to one of my keyboard shortcuts down here, and that way I can just press the keyboard shortcut and then click the herb, because I want to just control the number of times I do this. When it comes to doing it a bit more, maybe a scroll wheel will help or something like that. Let's bring this down and stick that milling over where my pickpocket shortcut key is. That's quite an easy one for me to press. Actually, let's move that over to there and that on my dash key. That would be quite nice. Okay, so on my dash key, then I can just click that. So let's bring up my bags. I can click that and mill that. So I'm just going to do this and skill myself up. I'm actually doing a world quest hand-in as well here, which is kind of handy if I wanted to. Varying amounts of ultramarine pigment at the moment. Oh, thank you for buying the Longboy mug. A fan bought a Longboy mug, 11 ounces. Oh, thank you very much. So it looks like I used up my entire stack of 200 there, and I only got up to skill level 20, interestingly, on that one. So looking at my things here, I've got a lot of crimson pigment and quite a lot of ultramarine pigment and viridescent pigment here. So crafting cost of, let's have a look at the crafting cost of each of these. Let's go with the cheapest one first off for a skill up. I would say the ultramarine seems to be the most common one, so let's start with that one. So we need a load of distilled water, so we'll go back and get that. I think if we just get a stack of that, that should keep me for the moment. So now looking at my inscription, we can make 134 ultramarine inks. We want to get up to skill level about 50. So let's just kick this off with everything and see what it comes up to as it runs through. This should hopefully get me running a little bit closer. These are skilling up nice and quickly. We've gone yellow already. Now it's gone green, so skill up should be a bit fewer and far between. But we still seem to be running up to 50 quite easily on this, and it seems quite cheap to do. I'm guessing I'll also use these at a later date. Now it's really slowing down. as we get closer to 50. I don't have the actual Ultramarine Crafting enchant on me either. This would go a lot quicker if I had that. Maybe I can buy that one. It's probably quite cheap. Getting ready to... There we go, we're done. We've gone grey at 50. Okay, so that's a good start. We use up a fair amount of that ink. Crafting cost is actually a negative profit on that. So we lost a little bit on that because the min buyout is currently 19 silver. So I imagine this is fairly a throwaway resource at this stage. We've still got 3,800 gold though, and we're up to skill level 50. So what do we need to look at next? So we get the mass mill spell that we learned from our trainer to mass mill any herb. Use the pigments to make inks, and then use the inks to level up inscription. So these basically are free skill points. So you will need to mill around 1,000 herbs to reach 80. After you reach 80, you could stop this and just buy the inks from the auction house. But it's usually cheaper just to mill the herbs and make the inks. Right, okay, so we can go from 50 to 80 using mass mill, but we also need a lot more herbs at that point. So let me train in, well, let's buy, what have we got here? Anchorweed we have there, what's that? I'll mill multiple, these must be all of these, so let's buy up all of these. It's quite expensive at 32 gold. Okay, so we're down to 3,300 gold, and we've got mass mill sea stalk here. So let's see how mass mill works. I see, right, so it's an actual thing here, mass milling, and then that will take 20 Akunda's bite at once. Okay, that seems reasonable. So riverbud sea stalk. So again, we're going to need a fair amount of herbs. Now, it did say we needed about 1,000 herbs to this to reach 80. So again, we're going to have to buy a few here. We have enough gold on us at the moment. We may need to do a little bit to gain some extra gold. So let's search for our herbs again. So the sea stalk is still currently just about the cheapest at the moment. This may be better bought in neat stacks of 200 though. So let's have a look at, so 664 is still the cheapest here. So we can buy those three there. We need about 1,000. So 1, 2 we can buy, and then we've got 733 gold left. So quite quickly we used up our gold then. That's to be expected in this case. So what I'll do in this stage is I'll see what opportunities I can do to make some gold. But let's start first with just milling what we can and see what level we can get to. Right, let's have a look. So we'll pick those up. So learning new professions is quite expensive. So mass mill sea stalk, we can do 20 of them. So 50 will take us at least to 70 hopefully. Obviously this is going to go yellow though. So let's create all of this for now. Oh, actually let's have a look at the, before we do this, let's have a look at the Ultramarine Crafting enchant. So I go to shopping. Now I can obviously make this enchant on my main character, but it is actually pretty cheap at the moment. I'm currently selling it for 53 gold at the moment, and so it's actually cheaper for me to buy it off the auction house because it's 46 gold actually to make. So I'm going to buy one at 24.99. I'll take one of those and I'm going to enchant my gloves. Pick that one up, and then go to my bags, go to my character, and then apply that to my gloves. So now we have Ultramarine Crafting on our gloves. Now hopefully when we go back to mass milling, let's have a look at this. Marginally faster. We can at least skill up with the herbs that we do have. So whilst this is going, I have a couple of options really when it comes to getting some gold. I can see if there's anything that I can make for a profit here with Inscription. I currently don't have my second profession yet, so I could maybe even pick up herbalism as my second profession for the moment and go around and do a few laps around the various zones, see if I can pick up some herbs that way. It may not be something I want to do long term because obviously I would like to be able to have two professions, like jewel crafting is my second profession I'd like to have. But in terms of getting started with gold making and trying to be self-efficient, that is certainly an option. The other things I could do is look at world quests that give gold and look at any emissaries that I can do to get some gold as well. So let's have a quick look here. So we've got a couple of bits and pieces here that's just a few hundred gold on those. And in terms of emissaries, none of these give an actual gold amount at the moment. There's a few here. And if we go to Zanzibar, there's a few here for a few hundred gold as well. The other thing I could do at this stage as a fresh 120 is do a few regular quests to get gold that way, and that will help raise my coffers. But I think what I'll actually do in this situation, it seems right to be a herbalist. So I'm going to go off and see if I can pick up a little bit of herbalism. This is obviously not the most efficient way for me to do this personally because I already have a herbalist druid, but let's have a look and see how long it will take me to get a few. So herbalism is over here. We can pick up this as a second profession. Let's train in herbalism. Cultiran herbalism. I guess we need that one first. And Cultiran herbalism. And then I guess we need all of these. That's going to cost me a little bit. Anchorweed we can't do yet, but we've got all the other ones. Now I do have a sky golem I can use for collecting things up. Let's have a look. So we do have a gathermate is currently showing me some of the herbs I've got here and a few that I found over here. I haven't imported one. This is literally what I found on my druid. So we can go around and start picking up a few things here. And which would be the cheapest, I wonder. There's a route up and down the river here I could possibly do for sea stalk. I think this is also a good one here. All the way down here there's Riverbud, Winter's Kiss there, and then a load of Riverbud there. So let's have a look and see what we can pick up in just a quick herbalism session. In terms of mounts, let's see if we can find ourselves with my 44 mounts that I have in total here. Let's have a look at the Sky Golem. And we'll add this to my Q button so I can remount quite quickly if I should need to. Right, let's give this a go. Do we have track herbs on? Oops, wrong button. Let's turn that off. Tracking. So find herbs is automatically turned on. So let's go have a look, see what we can get. The thing I don't like about this mount is the way it just sways from side to side. It really is quite distracting. There's something here somewhere. This looks like it's in a dangerous area. Here we go, so there's various bits over there, but all of this is a hotly contested zone, so I don't really want to get myself into trouble. There's something down here. Now I don't have Cultiran Gathering. I could ideally have a second pair of gloves that I can swap out with my crafting. That would make this go a lot quicker, in fact. So what have I got on at the moment? Some benthic gloves. It's worth looking out for a second pair of gloves that we can then swap between the two. Let's see if there's any, whilst we're here, let's see if there's any world quests that have any gloves. So we have here wrist, that's a trinket, another trinket. There's some Gravethorn grips here from Tangled Webs, from the Order of Embers. That sounds like a good thing to do, so let's head over in that direction, kill two birds with one stone, as it were. We'll pick up herbs along the way, if we can find them. There it is, over the other side. Okay, so this is our world quest. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. So we've got ourselves some 375 gloves. So compared to our 385 gloves, that's not too bad. So we'll need to find ourselves a inn or something where we can do azurite mining here actually for an extra 126 gold quite easily, or chilling encounter here for another 328 gold. So those are easy things we could do whilst we're here. And then we also need to find ourselves near an inn, probably over here, and see if we can get something that way. Okay, so let's get ourselves some Cultiran Herbalism. So Cultiran Herbalism, we need an enchant for that. Again, it's going to cost me 46 gold to actually craft myself. So I'll go with the 57 at the moment for convenience, saving swapping characters. We'll take that. So we're going to then enchant this with some Cultiran Herbalism, and then we can swap this out whilst we go and do some Herbalism. So we've got a crafting and a Herbalism glove. Currently sat at 475 in terms of gold. We picked up a few of the various herbs, but nothing in too greater amounts. So what I think I'm going to have to do here is go round a route and see if I can collect up a whole load of herbs and then mass mill those once I've got a decent amount. I was also looking out for any world quests here. Probably even worth doing a few of these emissaries as well at the same time, so I can even upgrade my gear and upgrade my Heart of Azeroth and generally progress my character at the same time. And then moving on, we have Samadan. He hasn't really done a lot much yet, other than trying to make a bit of gold on the side. So the main focus here with Samadan is, in terms of gold making, I want him to get Inscription. And so we have a number of herbs I've been collecting up. So I thought, okay, if I want Inscription, I want this character to be fairly self-contained, because I didn't fancy, not that I didn't fancy it, I thought it would be a good idea to just see how well he could level up his Inscription without borrowing a whole load of gold off of other characters. So what I've done is I've taken Herbalism and I've leveled up. I've got some decent ranks in Herbalism now. I've got myself up to rank 3 in all the main ones. Winter's Kiss is still missing, and Anchorweed I need to do a dungeon for, and Xenanthid I need to work on as well. If we look at that, I need to do some more drops there to get the rank 2 for Xenanthid. I haven't really done much Xenanthid at this stage. I've mainly been focusing on the regular ones. So at the moment, what I decided with Samadan is actually, because I use Korok's Revenge to level up mainly from 110 to 120, I haven't really done much of the storyline. And doing the storyline, especially when you've got flying, is a really good way of gaining a fair amount of gold. As well as, there's a good one here. There's an Alliance War effort we can do for 2,000 gold. That's definitely worth doing. For me, let's look at the herb prices as they are at the moment. So, Siren's Pollen is 4 gold 50. Sea Stalk is 8 gold 80. Riverbud 690. Akunda's Bite's way up there at 13 gold. Star Moss 9 gold. Winter's Kiss 4 gold 92. And then Xenanthid obviously 27, and where's my Anchorweed? There at 94 gold. And I'm going to see what I can do with Inscription on this character. We haven't quite leveled it up yet, but we're on our way. We have got ourselves a reasonable stock of a few herbs here. Winter's Kiss, a good amount of Siren's Pollen we bought fairly cheaply. Although while that says an average purchase price of 8 gold 18, that must have been on Awakening. But the thing I've been doing with this character is going through and collecting up all the storyline quests, which has been really handy. Just going through the storyline and collecting the gold whilst doing that. So things I would do at this stage, looking at this, I've got the Alliance War effort emissary to do for 2,000 gold. That would over double my gold that I've got at the moment, so that would be a very useful thing to do. You can make most gold from Inscription from the Legion patterns. Yeah, I would like to get over to the Legion side. I want to do the BfA side first, but then the Legion stuff, as you suggested, to buy all the herbs below 8 gold, wasn't it, on the Legion side. But I'll get to there at that point once I'm there. So I'm going to decide what to do here with Samadan. We could carry on levelling my herbalism. Like, we could do a dungeon for the Anchorweed. We could go over and do the Alliance War effort. That would certainly be useful. I think in terms of efficiency, let's have a look. What do I need to do in terms of the dungeon? Let me just have another look at that one. So Anchorweed, we needed the Seeking More Knowledge, which was one of the ones in here, was Waycrest Manor we needed to do. Seeking More Knowledge. So we could, if there were people on EU Alliance in the chat who are willing to do the dungeon with me, we could maybe do a dungeon together and get ourselves the Herbalism Technique Anchorweed rank 2, if anyone is interested in that. So thank you very much, that was very, very useful. So now we can go and hand that in. So we'll go over here and we'll get our Anchorweed rank 2 over here. And we'll pick this up, Seeking More Knowledge, a treatise on Anchorweed, and we'll get Anchorweed rank 2. Fantastic. So I wonder what we need for Anchorweed rank 3. From looking at this, more anchor pods, tear guard sound, so gather Anchorweed more effectively. So I imagine that will just be something else we'll pick up in our adventures. Okay, so thinking about things in terms of gold making for, ow, there goes my knee again, for Samadan here. So he has 1,600 gold. So my next immediate thought here, to get myself some more gold, would be to go over and do the Alliance War effort for 2,000 gold. That's really quick to do, especially as I have flying. So we'll go over and do that and see how quickly that is actually possible on my character here. Okay, so we've got that. We are currently on 1,800 gold with a load of junk here and a few different bits and pieces. So we'll go hand in that quest, get ourselves some good reputation as well at the same time. Let's move out the way, and then we'll go here, Alliance War effort. So that's 2,000 gold there and an extra 600 artifact power. Reputation wise, we're doing okay, considering we're at friendly with a couple. So we've still got a long way to go with the others. Obviously we've not done any quests, that's the main thing here. Alright, so we'll sell the trash, that's all of that done. We've got a few different bits here that we picked up. A trinket that's 281. We should really scrap that for guaranteed expulsum. Not sure what I'd do with expulsum on Inscription though. The crossbow though, that's got a good vendor sell price of 70 gold, so we'll sell that. And that's Azeroth, so that needs to be scrapped anyway, because I've already got something that I like as it is. So let's head over to the scrapper and scrap those two items. Oh, got stuck on the rigging, hold on, there we go. In terms of herbs, let's just have a look at what we could possibly afford, if there's any cheap bargains here. Oh, there's some siren's pollen for under 4 gold. That would be worth me buying up at this stage. And whilst I've got a little bit of gold on me, because we're going to be doing some milling and things like that. And Winter's Kiss is actually below 4 gold as well. So these are the sort of bargains that I'd want to look out for. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to buy that. And the siren's pollen, we'll take that at 3.99, and we'll also take the ones at 4 gold whilst we've got those. So it's just spent 300 gold, so it's very easy to spend your gold doing this, especially when margins are so slim. So we're in a reasonable position. We have some herbs on us, which is a good start. We need to get more gold, so I will look at maybe doing a little bit more herbalism. I want to get Inscription a bit further, so next week I'm going to look at doing a little bit more on leveling up Inscription with the gold that I do have and the herbs that I do have. I'll probably record it on a video as I do it and then start the journey on that, much the same way as I did that alchemy series of getting started in alchemy. I'm going to do the same series here with Samadan, getting started in Inscription. So I'm going to make use of all of this stuff that I'm doing now and put it into a video and track my progress as I go. Right, okay, so let's have a look at Samadan. Now, fair warning, I do apologise for his transmog. He picked up a new tunic the other day, and this is what he looks like, unfortunately. I haven't transmogged anything else on him. And Merry Christmas to you as well. But yes, he's looking rather fine in his latest outfit. So what I've been doing is going through the war campaign at the moment. Gold wise, we are currently just at 10,000 gold. This is through doing either emissaries or just general questing to try and get my reputation up. We are currently sitting at honoured with 7th Legion through doing the war campaign, which I wanted to get first because then I can start levelling up the inscription with the contracts. So that was my first thought. And then the others, I'm basically going to just look at the map. And so we've got things like the Alliance War effort for the gold amount has been done. Order of Embers, what does that give me at the moment? An item level 390. But we can go hand this one in, the Alliance War effort. So I'm going to finish off this part of the war campaign, and then I'll head back, I think. So my next decision now is looking at where we're at with inscription and everything here. So we have some gold on us now, 12,000 gold, and we have a reasonable supply of herbs that I picked up. Let me just organise this a little bit better. Let's go into plugins. No, filters, TSM, and let's turn on the herbs, BfA herbs. Let's do all of them actually, because then we can split them all quite nicely. Close that. So now my WOD herbs are all here, and all my BfA herbs are here, and we have a reasonable amount of all of those. I could probably do with my pigments and inks, could do with probably being in a separate section yet. We don't have anything for that yet. We need to look at what we need to do next in terms of our inscription. So looking at where we're at currently 71 out of 75. We have a few different bits of mass milling we could have done here. Now I believe I need to have a look at WoW Professions for inscription to see where it said to take me next. So I'm using this for my profession levelling. So wowprofessions.com. So profession levelling guides. We're looking at inscription. So we're currently going through, and we did ourselves up to 150, then 50 to 80 was to use the mass mill. And then at 80 to 85 we can make War Scrolls, Battle Shout, if you don't want to mill herbs. So we do have some herbs. So let's get ourselves to 80 or 85. Let's have a look at that. So using mass mill on that will be our next option here, as those are yellow. So we've got a few things here. We do have a lot of Siren's pollen on us at the moment, which we managed to get for a reasonable price, 4 gold 89 at the moment, its current price, although my purchase price is 6 gold 91. So let's mass mill some of these, see if we can get ourselves up to 80 or 85. Here goes the, now it's turned green at 75. So this is going to be slower, certainly. We've still gone up to 77 though. So we're getting a decent amount of pigment from this. And then I might do that War Scroll Battle Shout. Right, okay, so we're now 80, so those mass mills have gone. So we need, let's have a look at what we need here for the Battle Shout. So we need light parchment and crimson ink. And so the crimson ink comes from, where does that comes from? crimson ink is here. We make from our crimson pigment and our distilled water. So we can create at least some of these, I think. So it's still got a decent crafting cost. There's no point buying it. So we'll make that at the moment. We can do that. So Samadan, my rogue, who is currently got herbalism and inscription. We are currently, yeah, there we are, Wayblade and Cohen, 2,000 gold. We are currently trying to do this only using gold that I've made myself. So we're currently at a very respectable 12,000 gold. So he's doing all right there at the moment. Have I thought about removing herbalism and getting dual crafting instead? I will wave eventually. Once I've gotten inscription set up and it's starting to make me some money, then I'm going to drop herbalism and I'm going to pick up dual crafting and do the two on this one character, definitely. We've got a couple of things we can do here. We've got the Waveblade and Cohen to do, the Najatar, so let's have a look at those. We have a few world quests here. That one's a good gold as well. We could do that, Terror of the Depths. And then we could do some for war resources. We could do a pet battle. That would be good for reputation. We could do that one. I should have the appropriate team for that. Let's have a look at my pet journal. Bone Shard, Icky and Chrominus. Let's just revive those. We've got a minute 28 left to revive them. So we'll wait for that to come through and then we'll do that. So, order of play is let's head on over them. And then we can go and get ourselves sorted. Okay, so let's get the 2,000 gold. And another 1,725 on reputation. Oh, it has started on NA, okay. And then let's do that for an extra extra 288 reputation. So that should now take me, where are we at? Halfway through friendly, so that's a good chunk of the way through. We are currently, with the quest that we've done, we are honoured with Storm's Wake, so we can start making contracts there. And we're honoured with 7th Legion, so we can start making contracts there. So we're in a good position there. We need to do some more quests with Order of Embers and Proudmoore Admiralty. That will give us some gold as well. How are we looking at with our gold stocks though? So 14,464 gold. Just from doing that one was a good start. We have a number of herbs on us that we can start using for our inscription. Star Moss, Siren's Pollen, and so on and so forth. Let's see what we can do with what we've got at the moment though. So inscription wise we are currently, where were we at? We were at 80 of 175, and looking at the learning BfA inscription we got up to 80, was here, and then it suggests make the War Scroll of Battle Shout, which needs 64 crimson ink. So the War Scroll Battle Shout is this one. So we've got some crimson ink. We've made that ourselves out of our distilled water and crimson pigments we already have. So we could probably make a few more of these. We need to go and buy ourselves, what was that, some light parchment. So let's actually get some of that first so we can see the number of this increase. So we only make use of the ones we need. Let's go head on over to the alchemist, no, the inscriptionist rather, which is over here. And you're probably going to sell me some light parchment. There we go. So let's buy a stack of that for the moment. I imagine we're going to need this in supply. Scribe, yeah, that's the one. And then we'll have a look here. Okay, so we can make 2. We need to make 5. So let's make enough Crimson Ink until we can make 5 of these War Scrolls of Battle Shout. That was correct, wasn't it? It actually says to make 8 of them. Okay, so we'll go up to 8. We'll see how this goes. So we need to get up to 85 here. Do these actually sell, would be my first question. War Scroll or Battle Shout. I should have checked this earlier first. Increase target attack power by 7. Sale rate of 0.28. That's not great, but that's not terrible either. And GW92, thank you very much for the follow. And so looking at this, min buyout 289, crafting costs 191, based off of Crimson Ink being 191. Okay. Mythic Plus users use it often. Okay. They sell well on your server. Okay, so this is a good start. So what I would look at this is, okay, let's make these 8. And we'll put these on the auction house. Let's make a group for these. This is our first BfA inscription attempt at selling something. Right, so we're up to, I actually got to 87 for that, for the Battle Shout. That was a good start. So let's make a group for this. We'll come along here and so base groups. Okay, so we need a new group here. I'm going to call this group Inscription. And then we'll make a subgroup of this. And we'll call this War Scroll. And we'll add in our first War Scroll of Battle Shout. We'll add that one in. And now an operation for this. Let's have a look. So I guess something based on crafting would be the best option here. So what I'll do is I'll bring up my bag so I can see the War Scroll and see the tooltip at the same time. So War Scroll is, that's a pilgrimage scroll. Consumable, there it is. War Scroll of Battle Shouts. Let's just move that over here so I can see the tooltip, and that over here so I can see that one. Let's have a look at this operation. So crafting operation we'll look into in a moment. Auctioning operation, let's add something in here. So let's create a new operation for this, and we'll call this crafting DB market. And now will people buy, how I'm thinking stack size, but that's going to be irrelevant soon. So, so I'm thinking crafting DB market multi, as in multiple items, if I can spell that correctly. Multi. There we go. Crafting DB market multiple. So that's multiples. So let's have a look at this. We'll go into posting. I might stick this at 48 hours for the moment. Now post cap. I'd have to see really how many are being posted at the moment. There are currently 39 auctions. I wonder what kind of stack size they do actually come in. But I'm going to increase this cap anyway. So let's make it 20. We're going to do them, let's do them individually for the moment, and then we'll probably have to reset this once 8.3 comes out anyway. And what do we do with the pigments? So you have no idea or use for them. Oh right, okay, for Ultramarine. You can just buy all the herbs you need for cards and buy up 30 different stacks 2 times a day, even better. You have no idea what to do with them either. Okay, that could be interesting then. Right, so price settings. This is going to be irrelevant soon, so I'm not going to bother too much about this at the moment. So let's think of our minimum price. So minimum price will be the maximum between 110% crafting, so I always like to add a little bit of a margin on it. Crafting. Now what would be a reasonable percentage of DB market? I guess something like 60% of DB market. or market, and then something like, again, 60% of DB region market average. Those will be the three factors that I want to take into account here. That works. Take the zeros off. Put them on the auction house if the turn-in. That's about it. Okay. You had 420 in mind. No worries. The ink sell faster. Okay. Rustbolt contract is 5,000 on your server. Want to bet they do not sell. I don't know how the contract's doing at the moment. I've certainly got a few of them here at the moment that I haven't made myself, but they could be useful in the future. Although I think most people have kind of gone beyond that stage, haven't they? I want to mill and make... someone wants to have a look, you want to mill and make inks yourself, exactly. So let's go for our maximum price here. Let's do it as a base off of this one, but we're going to add in... let's try 400% crafting and 160 dB market and 160 dB region market, and then normal will be something. Now, do I want the max of these? Probably. I probably do. Let's go 100 and, no, let's go 200% crafting. I don't know what the crafting differences are going to be really. I might have to fiddle with that figure a little bit, and I could get rid of this completely, but I'll keep it at 100% for the moment. Or 1,000%. Let's have a look at what's the biggest between those. So I wouldn't normally do maximum here. Normally I'd probably do average between these two. But let's have a look. Well, an average between those two certainly. So let's look at the tooltip for War Scrolls here and see what kind of prices we actually get, and see whether the numbers look like they make sense. So we've got a crafting cost of 191 gold. The minimum price is coming out at 210. So that will be based off of crafting more than anything else. Looking at the min buyout currently is 289, so there is a profit there, as we saw there, 97 gold profit. A normal price of 382, so that is quite a little bit higher than the region market and the market. So that's probably the crafting cost that is causing that. So let me just adjust that slightly. The crafting is going to throw that out a little bit too much. So let's make it something like 150% crafting. And this one make it 200% crafting. And then let's have a look at the tooltips now. So now it's the normal price is 315, which is what our market value currently is. And then our max price is coming out at 505, which is a reasonable bump up. So I like those numbers. I'm happy to go with those for the moment. So we're just checking in on our first lot of inscription here. We made some war scrolls. First thing that we could possibly sell for a profit. So let's put these 8 that we made on the auction house with those prices that we just set. Let me check what kind of stacks they're going for at the moment. Where's my bags gone? Let me just check these. So currently, are they going in stacks or singly? Okay, that's interesting. Everything else is much higher here. So this is going for 449 and this is going for 289. So at this point, I think I'm going to just come in manually. I'm going to ignore this one at 289. I'm going to come in straight here. I'm going to do this manually at this point. Oh no, I just clicked the wrong button. I clicked buy out by mistake. Oops, I meant to click post. Well, that was a mistake. So we'll post in at this at the moment. Also 1 stack of 8 max, and we'll do that. That was 24 hours as well. I must be getting tired. Okay, so let's go buy those and post them back on, and hopefully won't have lost too much gold. Mistakes were made, certainly. Now Samadan has no money. I know, what did I buy that for? That was 1,300. So that was a fair chunk of my gold, unfortunately. So we'll take those as it is, and we'll post them back on and see if we can generate a sale, hopefully. Let's see what we can do. So let's just bring up, make sure we do this correctly. It was only 3, so that's not too bad. Let's post them at the same price. Let's go here and post. Let's go 48 hours this time. 5 silver for that, and rescan. Now it would be tempting. I don't know the market, but I would be tempted to buy these at 289. I don't really know how good the sale rate really is, but seeing as that everything else is up higher, I would be tempted to buy these. There's only 4 of them, so let's go for it. As we bought those 3 by mistake anyway, that way we can see if we can get some money back this way. So let's buy those. It's a small risk given the gold that I've got, and it's a good way to test the market out and learn what's going to work well for us or not. If it works, then great, we'll do more of it, and if it doesn't work, then we haven't really lost a great amount. So let's post these on manually. Actually, now we can check our posting group. Now that I've got these, so let's check this, see if it works. War scroll, run post scan, and so war scroll, the battle shout coming on for 449 gold. We're posting 4 single stacks for this one, so let's post that on and see what happens. We did some operations and we've got inscription a little bit further forward, which is a great start, and then we can just keep inching forward, do a little bit more development on this, and see how it goes. So we're looking at inscription and leveling that up. We are at the moment, herbalism, we are at, no, it's herbalism, no wonder we're at 175. Inscription, we are at 87 of 175. Okay. So looking at, we had some potential sales, didn't we? We bought some things. I remember last time we looked at this last week. Let's go have a look at the mail. We might actually have something in there. Probably expires, but you never know. Let's have a look. Okay, so that was it. The war scrolls. We tried selling these. We didn't get any sales, obviously, from looking at this. We did buy some up cheap. I accidentally bought some expensive as well. And then we've got a little bit of transmog here I've put on as well. So let's take these and we'll repost those on. You never know, we might get some sales there. Alright, let's have a look at our inscription at the moment. Is there anything we can actually pick up at the moment? There's a few things we can learn here. Oh yes, we've got contract 7 Legion. We've got lots of contracts here we could possibly do, now that we're at 75. And we can get up the ranks of some of these, in fact. I don't know if people are still using these contracts. Maybe alts will. We can maybe have a look at a few of those. Those old inscription contracts are still quest turn-ins at times. Okay, Commander 1, that might be worth. Mechanome Volpera rep sells good for you. Okay, that's a good idea. I don't think I've got to the Mechagon stage at this point, though. Looking at what I can do at this point. Let's have a look. So, yes, I've got the... All of these are obviously saying a negative because I've only got the rank 1s. I could possibly pick up the rank 2s and 3s by having a look at these. So we need Honoured with Tortollan Seekers, Honoured with Order of Embers. Now I think we have Honoured with 7th Legion. We can have a look at our reputation here. Just a few things that we have got. Yes, we do have Honoured with Storm's Wake and 7th Legion, so we can do those certainly. What I need to do here, though, is I'll get my 7th Legion as I'm just over here anyway. We can pick that one up. There we go. And so, Vindicate. We want to browse your goods. We want the contract 7th Legion. We'll take that. Thank you very much. That's a start. And then the Storm's Wake one is going to be obviously over in Storm's Wake. You'll probably head on over and do that one as it's only just over the mountains. We'll do that. So I'm thinking the standard quartermaster type person should sell me what I want. So we'll have a look here, and we are at honoured, so we contract Storm's Wake, rank 2. We'll pick that one up as well. So this is all good progress. Even if we don't manage any sales of these, we can at least use this for levelling up. Where are my contracts that I've just bought? There they are. So let's learn that one. Storm's Wake, rank 2, and the second one, the 7th Legion, rank 2. So now, when we look at our inscription, so 7th Legion is going to cost me, let's have a look at this in TSM at the moment. Let's look at things that we can skill up on and things that we could potentially sell. So we could use the WoW Professions Guide to help us here, but we're also going to look at TSM and look at what we could do to level up effectively, really. I mean, obviously these contracts aren't going to be particularly good either on sale rate at this stage of the game. I can't see people using these contracts. Like we said earlier, we need to do the Mechanome contract. That could be something to do here. We need to unlock that at this point. None of this look like Dark Moon Card of War is going to need a price on the Expulsum, I think. People buy them to get extra Paragon chests for artifact power. Do they really? Oh, okay. I was thinking they wouldn't be used at all, but that's useful to know. So we did have War Scroll of Battle Shout. That's currently a profit at the moment. We're also looking for skill ups really here. So in terms of, if we right click on this and look at crafting cost, this will cost me 417 gold to make each one. Anything else, that would cost me 2,000 gold. So in terms of skill ups, I don't think we can do, can we use this filter? Has skill up. Right, those are the skill ups. And this is the crafting cost. So the cheapest thing we could make at this point would be we could use a couple of our Expulsum to make a Dark Moon Card of War. A random Dark Moon Card of War, collect a full set to receive a reward. I've not really looked into the Dark Moon cards, but that is certainly interesting. We've also got some other things here. That's regular inscription. We want to focus on Colteran inscription here. So we're looking at crafting cost here. We're looking at cheap things really. So the War Scrolls are slightly cheap. The contracts still sell. Champions, Sotoi, Proudmore, for some reason they're your best sellers. Okay. You wouldn't craft Darkmoon cards at this point. Okay, they were good at the start of the expansion. Okay, so they may not be good now, but they could be a cheap way of getting a few skill points. You agree on that one? Okay, thank you, Mashi. So we might be better if contracts, as you're saying, are still selling, Adriana. I'm thinking some contracts might be worth it. I've only got the rank 2s on these. I could really do with a good sale rate is the Champions of Azeroth one, because that's obviously artifact power, isn't it? Contracts are good for alt, including myself for that matter. So I could go for a cheaper one here. Maybe let's make a few and see if we can test the market out a little bit. What do we need materials wise for these? We need light parchment, ultramarine ink and crimson ink. In order to get some crimson ink, let's change our filter, turn off the has skill up, and then have a look at the crimson ink. Let's use the standard one here. So we can make 75 crimson ink with the stock we currently have. So let's make those whilst we can. Or might as well do that one. Darkmoon cards. Cards of Omens, definitely. Okay, thank you, Rose. If you're crafting at skill points, then possibly make them. Just Darkmoon cards were of were for the decent trinket at the start of the expansion, so maybe better options for people to buy. They could still sell, it would just be the odd one who's buying them. Okay, put the mats into something else, all you're saying. Oh, that's good advice, Senpai Sark, thank you very much. Been making solid cash off contracts, 250 to 300 gold minimum, 800 for Volpera with an 8.3 dropped. Okay, Daily Show, that's also good to know. And Tome with the Quiet Minds are also good. So we have some options here. We've got a few things. We got we could do with getting some rank, these up to rank 3 certainly, from looking at this. So that means reputation, and reputation means emissaries. So I need to have a list of things to do, and one of those is going to be to get my reputation up. I didn't manage it all with the WoW anniversary event, unfortunately. Matches, thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're doing well. But we've got a number of options here. We can at least skill up. We can maybe do a few of the Tome with the Quiet. Was it Tome with the Quiet Minds you said? Are good as well, yes, Matt Kemp. So we can maybe do these whilst they're yellow. We can maybe look at some of those. We can add those on, and then we can maybe look at some of these other ones and add those in. Crafting inks is so slow, but in a way that's good because it turns everyone away from doing it, and then true gold makers get the gold. Exactly. We gold makers certainly don't mind a bit of tedium from time to time. And using a contract yourself too when doing world quests. Exactly. I haven't got any contracts here. I did have some in my bags, I believe. We'll have a look at that. You need to do the turtle rep for the Tomes of the Quiet Mind. Okay, that's worth doing. Yes, Tortolan Seekers Revered we need. So we really need to focus on Inscription does look like it needs a lot of reputation for all of these things. So we do need to think about focusing on that. Reputation wise, Order of Embers and Proudmoore Admiralty are only at neutral. Storm's Wake's fine at Honoured. Obviously we'd like to get these to Revered. Tortolan Seekers is only at neutral. So I'm thinking we should focus also, as well as making all of these things, we should focus on having a look at pressing the right button to bring up our maps and looking at our emissaries, because those are a good way of getting good chunks of reputation. Proudmoore Admiralty will also give me some equipment caches, and then Alliance War Effort will be another good one, and then Order of Embers would also be useful. And as we have flying, this would definitely be worth doing, running around and doing these ones. You can also focus on glyphs. Yeah, I'd go get the glyph recipes too. Nice steady earner. So are there BfA glyphs, or are we talking Legion glyphs at this point? The glyph recipes don't need the rep, just other stuff. Okay. A lot of Crimson Ink and not enough Ultramarine crafts. Oh, okay. Legion and Prior. Okay, thank you, Will. Mostly Legion. Yeah, I was thinking doing glyphs. I wanted to get into that after sort of fleshing out the BfA side, thinking I'd start with current content and work my way backwards. But I have heard from several people that glyphs are the way to go forward with Inscription. So that's really, really positive to hear it from multiple people. Tsm, thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're doing well. So whilst we're looking at this, let's focus on these contracts for the moment. So let's see what we can make at the moment. Let's have a check of my bags. Do we actually have any? We do have a few of the contracts here that I had left over from other characters. So we've got Champions of Azeroth, Order of Embers, Proudmoore Admiralty, and Storm's Wake. So what are we missing there? Champions of Azeroth, Order of Embers, Storm's Wake, Tortolan Seekers, and 7th Legion. So let's, in order to skill up and also to have one in our bags for each of these, let's create one each of these. I know they're not a good number at the moment, but we'll just create one each of these so we have them. And then I can make myself a group that has all of those. We've got our skill up to 89. So, and trinkets, they sell well for you. Yeah, we need to do that one as well. Hard thing with stocking up on all the glyphs is keeping up with the mats. Okay, work for game. That'd be work to game. Sorry, that'll be interesting to see when we get there and see what we need. Crom, how are you? What if there's a specific video or live stream where you go over setting up Inscription? You're looking at it right now. We're doing it live as we stand at the moment. I am literally just got started in Inscription. We're just working on leveling it up at this point. We're only at level 89 of Inscription. So this is a good start as any, really. We're looking at what we need to do. We need to look at reputation. We're just starting in setting up a group here. So we've just started on contracts. So I'm going to add in BfA Inscription. I'm going to add in contracts because we've got one each of the contracts here. So we can at least have a look at these. And we'll name this group contracts. Like so. And then I'm going to add in each of these ones we currently have. Now we could potentially try and sell these for some gold, although my crafting costs and profits are not particularly good at the moment, because if we look at contracts at the moment, nothing is a profit on the contracts because of our rank 2s and 3s are not quite there really. So we need to work on reputation before we start selling them. But at the moment, these are worthwhile doing just for skilling up, because we do have the materials for some of these. We also need to look at the Tome of the Quiet Mind as another potential seller, because that needs the Tortollan Rep to get the rank 3. Not quite a profit at the moment, but as it's still yellow at the moment, it might be worth crafting a few of those just to get ourselves a potential skill up. There's 2 we can make, so I'm going to add that into our list of things to make. And we've got 1 skill up, and we've actually got 2 skill ups for that, so that's good. We can add that to our list. Can't remember which one is BfA, but Glyph of the Humble Flyer or Glyph of the Sentinel Owl both sell 1 on each. Oh, that's a good point, Mushy. The cost of my ink. I haven't calculated that. Not a profit is better than 100% loss. Exactly, Speckett. I have got my ink at currently telling me a crafting cost here, mat cost of 45 gold 92. So it'll just be the standard one that comes through TSM. So I do need to look at that. All druid glyphs sell well, like literally all druid glyphs. Okay, that's a good hint. Thank you, Rasheen. There's loads of good information coming in here, which is useful. Ultramarine Ink is giving me, and that's interesting. It's giving me a mat cost of 3 gold 30 based off my market value. Crafting cost is coming in actually at 21 gold, so that's very expensive. It's just abstract because herbs make pigment, and pigment makes inks, and inks make the items, so it's a lot of changes for it to get screwy. But it's now not making this one. The price of distilled water is wrong. Okay, let's have a look at that. And what else? The costs don't sound right at all. Should be able to make a profit on the tomes even with rank 1. Okay, Burning Embers is profitable on your server even if you vendor it. Okay, can you go into materials? Okay, let's have a look. Fixed your cost of distilled water. So distilled water. Let's have a look at this. So where does distilled water come from? What is using distilled water? Just so I can have a look at that. Oh, it's a vendor one. Okay. Distilled water is 20 for 2 silver. It's a vendor item. Okay, thank you. So let's have a look at that. Let's go into our that and look at our distilled water. So this is at without reputation price, because I don't have a lot of reputation. Okay, so currently we have 20 for 2 gold 50, telling me a mat cost of 13 copper. That would be right, I think. Mat cost coming at 13 copper, which is half of 250 and divided by 10. So let's go into my materials. Not that one, go into that one. Go into Inscription, Crafting Reports. Just change the materials so it is not on vendor buy, it's a bug error. Okay. So let's have a look. No, not crafts, materials. Go onto this side. That always gets me, that one. Distilled water. Let's have a look on here. So it is now not on the vendor buy. Okay, so we just want to change this to vendor buy. Do we take it? It's set to market value on materials. That's interesting, because I'm looking at that and looking at how I would buy it. Yeah, that's definitely how I'd buy it off the vendor. So 13 copper was what I was expecting as a MAC cost. We'll just do a quick update on that. It still says 13 copper. My MAC cost is 13 copper there. Obviously the min buyout market value and everything like that. So as far as I can understand it, that would be correct. But as you said, these have changed now to show a profit. That's very interesting. So has that come from the... So how has that come about? Okay, more green prices is good, definitely. Okay, so just so I understand how that worked. You didn't have the water price because TSM forgot it because of the... Ah, of course, thank you, Rasheen. And then it defaulted to the right one. Okay, so really, to stop TSM from forgetting it during patch time, I should really set that to a manual value. Would make the most sense to stop that from happening at all the time. So I would come in here and I would change this, because I know the exact price at the moment, given my reputation, is I would go in here and actually set this manually to 13 copper, and that would keep it as a fixed price. And yes, okay. So that would be a fix in the future. Okay. Each ink required 1 water, and that's why it was bugged. It was misvaluing the cost of my inks. Thank you, everyone. This is great having you all in chat. I really do appreciate it. And we're understanding the process as well, understanding how TSM works. So hopefully other people can follow this along and work out how to get the correct prices for everything. This is valuable information. Thank you. So looking at this, we do have some things in green, which is brilliant. So looking at Tome of the Quiet Mind, we could possibly make a few of those. We could possibly even make a few contracts and try and sell those. The Proudmoore Admiralty one seems particularly worth doing, even at rank 1 there. We don't have any materials for these at the moment. Each ink required 1 water, that's why it was bugged. We did it. It takes a while sometimes for stuff to come in. The toy from the Proudmoore Paragon has a terrible drop rate. Okay. Since we're on the price topic of material cost, how does everyone figure the cost of Expulsum? It depends on how you get it, would be my first question. There we go, thank you, Mushy. That is how I get my Expulsum, through doing the Bracer Shuffle as an enchanter and a leather worker and a tailor. So if you've got all 3 of those professions, that's how I price my Expulsum. You could take it as the cost of making 1 tide spray bracer and divide it by about 7 or 9, depending on what variants you want to use, and that will give you another... sorry, no, don't divide it by, times it by that amount, because you get 1 every 9 braces. That's a simpler way, but then that's not taking into account the materials you get back, which you could then reinvest into making more braces. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, times 9 would mean you got 9 Expulsum per braces. No, but if you're putting the price in for Expulsum, it's based on the cost of crafting 1 bracer. Wouldn't that be right? It's 6 bracers, not 9. Yeah, I mean, I would probably... I don't know the exact number, but I think 6 or 7 was what I originally used per braces, and that was about right for me. Yeah, I've gone with sort of 7 as my rough ballpark. It depends on how much you want to sort of take into account random number, but after you do the numbers, it does come out about 7. Right, so where were we with contracts? We were making some of these. We got the price looking a bit better, which was good. We want to set up a group to sell perhaps some of these said contracts. So let me have a look at what I've got on me at the moment. Let's have a look at our group. And we want to make probably a crafting operation for each of these. So let's go group operations. Let's make a crafting operation, create a new one. And we're going to call this 5 of each as a good starting point. Maximum restock quantity will make 5. Minimum profit, we should probably have one. So minimum profit, let's do 10% crafting as our minimum profit. So we won't make them unless they are a profit. Although that said, maybe I'd like to make some of these and sell them at a slight loss, even though they won't necessarily be a loss. Maybe we could just make back some of our money and recoup it for the moment. So what I might do is I'll keep that there at 10% crafting, and I'm going to turn off set minimum profit for the moment. I'll just set myself to make 5 of each, and I'll just adjust this no profit, just so that we've got some stock of them, and that will help us at least skill up on these, and then we can work out the profit at another time. And then auctioning operations, we'll have a look at this contract here, and we'll go to the group operation here. With our auctioning operation, again thinking that we're not going to have potentially a profit on these, I still want to put them on. So I'm going to use, did we have the crafting standard? We did have a crafting standard. So I might use that actually. Let's get rid of this one. We'll use crafting standard, but what I might do is change the set minimum price when below minimum price. I'm going to say post at minimum price. So we at least post them on. We may or may not get sales, but at least we've crafted them. Is it 10% crafting or 110% crafting? When you're doing a crafting operation, it's one of the few things in TSM that is actually the opposite way, because it actually specifically says, if you go here into the crafting, set minimum profit, it actually says minimum profit here, so it's already taking into account the crafting cost, so it's on top of that, so which is why you put 10% crafting rather than 110%. So I'm going to leave that off for the moment, but that's what I would do in that case. So let me just check this group contracts, and we're going to add in the auctioning operation. We're going to override that with our crafting standard. We're going to check our crafting standard operation to when it is below the minimum price, we're going to post at minimum price. So that's all listed. We've got, how much gold have we got? 9,500 gold, so not a lot of gold here. Alright, let's have a look at these contracts and let's run a post scan on those. So these are below minimum price. These I'm undercutting the competition on, and these are below min price. So we'll post these on. Deposit costs don't seem to be too bad, so let's post these on. The main thing we're trying to do here is return some gold back into reinvesting into making more inscription in the future, so that hopefully we can skill up without losing too much gold. Because we're working on a limited funds here, we're not borrowing gold from any other characters, we're literally using the money that we've been able to accumulate through doing missions and various things like that. So you seem okay at the moment. What I might do, now that we've got that set up, we've also got the, we did the Tranquil Mines, Tome of Tranquil Mines. We had that as well, so let's set that one up. So we'll go into our groups here, and we'll go BfA inscriptions, and Tome of Tranquil Mines needs a new group, so we'll make one here. Tome of Tranquil, that'll be enough. And I'll go here, Tome of, oh, it's not Tranquil, it's Quiet Mind. Different one. Wrong thing. Change that. Tome of Quiet. Tranquil Mind's a different one. Why limit myself like that? The main thing I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep it more realistic for someone who doesn't have access to all the other gold making characters that I have access to. So maybe this is your first profession that you're getting started with. How would I approach this? What would I do differently, especially when it comes to this early stage of leveling up the profession? I wanted to go through the kind of like the thought process of it. So, turn the quiet minds. Let's have another 5 of these on the making, and auctioning wise, let's stick with the crafting standard, and then we should hopefully be able to post those up as well. Tome of Quiet, or run a post scan on those. We've got 2 of those. Undercutting competition, so 94 gold there. And then if we were to have a look at these as a shopping operation, just to see what is on versus our competition, that would be quite a interesting way to have a look at these things. So let's have a look at groups and our contracts, and we're going to add on a shopping operation here, and we're going to do a crafting based shopping operation. So this is going to basically list my return the price based on my crafting cost as a percentage, so I can see how it compares against mine. Show auctions above max price. We'll ignore everything else. And so if we then go and do a shopping scan of contracts, run a shopping scan, we should have a look at these. So when they are at 97%, that's less than my crafting cost, that contract 7th Legion. So I am here at 298, which is, my crafting cost is 271. That actually doesn't look about right, 192%. I would say that value is different there. So I need to look into that. That crafting operation doesn't make sense to me. The percentages are in the right direction, but it doesn't seem to match what I would expect in my head as crafting costs. So I would say 271% would be 100%, I would say. You have DB market. Yeah, it would look like we have defaulted to that. Let me just double check that. That's how I'd expected it to work. Yeah, definitely. Maybe that one doesn't work in the way I expected it to. Let me have another look at the operation. The groups, contracts, group operations, shopping, crafting. Oh yes, that didn't change, did it? There we go, thank you. Crafting, does that actually work as a thing? Press enter on that. There we go. Thank you very much. So it's good to double check these things. So now we have a look. Now what would I expect here? So this is looking a bit more correct. So 7th Legion, there we go, 110% crafting, fantastic. There we go, that's what I'd expect to see. So these are obviously, as they're green, they're below my crafting cost. And so there are lots and lots, 25 here, 35 there, at 153 gold. So for me to get to 153 gold, I'm going to have to shave off a good 120 gold off of my crafting cost. Now that could be down to my material cost, or it's more likely going to be also down to my reputation as well. Did I have to do all my operations from scratch thanks to the 8.3 changes? No, this is a new character, and for all my new characters and new professions, I like to do a brand new profile for each of them. So we have, actually we should make a new one here that's not the default. We should call this, we should rename this one. Now, make sure I get the order of this right. This should be for Samadan, because this is Samadan's own profile. There we go. And this is to do with inscription at the moment, so I'm going to build this up at the moment. Inscription, how to way to value your BfA pigments. This one, okay, thank you Rasheen. I'm going to take that, I'm going to bookmark that, I'm going to read that. That's fantastic, thank you. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this information that I'm learning, I'm going to pop it onto my Miro board, and then I'm going to do a video on getting started with Inscription so I can share it with everyone. Right, out, here we go. So I'm not expecting a lot of sales. Oh, actually we do have some sales. That's surprising. So we have sold, since last week we were just getting this started with Inscription. So we've managed to make up a little bit of gold, which is really useful in terms of leveling up here. Tomes of the Quiet Mind, 2 of those, and War Scroll of the Battle Shout, we sold 1 of those. So these aren't huge by any margins, but they are starting to sort of like help fund the Inscription market. So we'll take those and have a look at our Inscription as it currently stands. We are at level 91 out of 175. So we've got a few things we could possibly do here that are showing me to be a profit. Now let me just double check that I've got my material correct on this, because I may have lost it. So we're looking at Distilled Water. So that's at 13 copper, so we set that manually last week. So that's fine, that should work. So let's have a look at what we could possibly make that's going to give us a skill up, that's also going to give us some potential money. So Champions of Azeroth, potentially a 0.2 sale rate compared to the others. That could be a start. We need Ultramarine Ink for that. We currently have 2 on the auction house, so we could afford to make a few of these. How many? We need to make some Ultramarine Ink first. So we got some pigments for that already. So let's create some of those. So I'll get ourselves some Ultramarine Ink, and then that should hopefully give us enough for some contract Champions of Azeroth, which should be a fair amount there. We need 18 per craft, so let's have a look at the Tsm Crafting Cost of these. So let's right click on Profit. Crafting cost is 202 or 251, but 251 is going to give me a profit here, so we'll stick with that for the moment. We'll make a few of these. We'll at least skill up a little bit on this first. Now I remember reading on the WoW professions that we need to do something else. I think it's at 91 or further. Let me just find the website to follow. So we're looking over at this at the moment, and we wanted to see 80 to 85, 85 to 140 with the rank 2 we're currently doing at the moment, and we want to get some rank 3s if we can, ideally. There's a Darkmoon Fair skill here. Check your map for the rank 3s. Should only make them until they turn yellow at 105. Okay, so we're going to watch out for that unless we get a rank 3. So we're going to have to look out for the rank 3s of these. We haven't got all of the rank 2s though, so we need to work on our reputation. So there's a few different things we need to think about here. Let's just cancel out of that for the moment. Move that over here. Right, what am I doing here? We were making contracts, weren't we? So we can make 4 Champions of Azeroth ones, which were a profit even at rank 1. And we need to get honoured with a few more of these. So we need to have a look at reputation. That's going to help us getting these rank 3s. The Storm's Wake and 7th Legion are rank 2. We'll have a look at that as well. Maybe we can do something there. So we've gone up to 92, up to 93. Let's have a look at the map after this and see if there's anything, because these have now gone yellow, which is going to make things harder. The rank 2s are the ones that are now ones we're going to have to focus on. Those are a negative profit even at that price. Not looking forward to the rep guides, the recipes, exactly. This is why we've got to kind of like think in advance. So we've got Alliance War Effort. We do have a Tortollan Seekers one here that's going to give us a gold reward, which is doubly good. So we can get the gold and we can get the reputation. We need to have a look though to see if there are any world quests for rank 3s or anything like that. So let's look at this, look at the rewards, filter it by that, and I can't see any work orders at the moment. That's all reputation. That's gear. Gear would be useful now that things are coming up at 415 and 420. And those are pet things. And then we could have a look over on the other side just in case there's anything there. That's some nice feet for 410. War resources, mana pearls, and Azerite gear. Sorry, not Azerite gear, Azerite itself. Okay, so not a lot there in terms of work orders. So we could look at doing Tortollans. That would be useful. Let's change our faction here to Tortollans. So we've got one down there, and then one up at the top. So we could fly down this way, do each of these, get ourselves Tortollan trader stock, which gives you a ring or trinket for your loot specialization. That will be useful. Get 2 of these, and then come up here and do the make low go. Those 3 in one go should give us a nice little thing to do. Remember, the TSM prices are fed by the wrong data. That is true. We did fix the distilled water, but there's more to it than that, which I still haven't looked into yet. So we will have to go into that in a bit more detail at a later stage once I've understood the mechanics a little bit more. But for now, I think this will be a good thing to do in terms of reputation. I'm going to take this one and this one first. We're going to head on over here. So we can take that and let's look for this one, follow this, and whilst we're doing this, we'll also look out for some herbs we can do as well. Here we go, so good healthy 2,000 gold, we'll do that. And our Heart of Azeroth really does need to be unlocked a little bit more now. That's really going on loads at the moment, so something else to do there. Go back to do our heart. Now let's have a look. In terms of reputation, we could look at a few things here. We can get some decent items nowadays with these world quests, so that's definitely going to be potentially useful. In terms of where we are in terms of progression, so we're at 395 item level. Reputation, friendly, we need to get to honoured with all of these. Champions of Azeroth, Proudmoore Admiralty. Then we can get our rank 2s for our inscription, because ideally we're going to use those to level up. We really could do with a rank 3 to get us beyond the sort of 120, 140 level. We could do the Dark Moon cards. That is an option, because they do eventually sell, I have heard on the grapevine, even though they're not as potentially good as they used to be. Obviously we'd have to price our Expulsum here. So I really need to look at the prices of this, because at 23 gold that seems massively expensive. If I can buy it for 2 gold, that does seem quite cheap. Probably the distilled water price. Well, we did put the distilled water price at 13 copper. So that was fixed. And that's fixed at 9 silver 50. So there's a mat cost for that and a mat cost for that. They should. And the viridescent pigment is coming in at 25 gold. That's the expensive part. But how's the pigment being priced? There isn't many recipes that are that useful. Yeah, so looking at this, viridescent pigment, I get the pigment from milling, and the milling gives me a random thing, doesn't it? Like the viridescent pigment there is at a different price. So that all depends on my milling prices. Now these are the things I need to look into in terms of numbers and percentages. I know Rasheen gave me a very useful spreadsheet, and there was lots of different methods of working out this mass mill price, the crafting cost of these, the mat costs of the mass mills. That's where I need to look at my pricing. So we need to sort that one out. So we'll get back into that at a later date. I'll do some more research into that. Since last week when we looked at this, I've managed to get the rank 3, one of the, I think it's Stormsong Valley. Yeah, we're here in Stormsong Valley. So if I just get myself outside of here for the moment. So we'll have a look at our... we can clear this and have a look at what we've got here. So we have, if we go to the standard interface, so contracts wise we've got Storm's Wake at rank 3, which is really good for leveling at the moment. So looking at Inscription, so we're looking at leveling up at the moment, so that's also useful. I was using the leveling guide, Inscription leveling guide. So we are currently at level 100 out of 175. To go to 140, we ideally want to use the contracts for this. Dark Moon Fair for another 5 skill points is also an option here, but maybe if we get to... maybe if we can do the contracts here. What I really need though is more of these. I need everything at rank 2 certainly. So the best way to get things to rank 2 is to do the to get to honoured for each of these. So as this is a new character, we're looking at doing the emissaries here. So at the moment, reputation wise, Champions of Azeroth is at friendly. Storm's Wake's obviously at honoured now. Tortolan Seekers, so a few of these are actually getting quite close. So I wonder, Waveblade and Cohen, only 1,000 off there. Let's look at the, what have we got here? Champions of Azeroth and Storm's Wake are the two we have at the moment. So Champions of Azeroth, we could do those to get an emissary done here, and we are close to getting honoured there, which would be useful. Map wise, I don't think there's a lot else. Let me have a look at the rewards. I don't think we've got anything in terms of like rank 3s here, because I need to get honoured anyway, or rank 2s in some of the things before I can get the work orders for the other ones. Right, let's work out what we're going to do with Samadan for the end here. So we could do a Champions of Azeroth thing, but I don't know whether that is probably the best thing to do with our time here, because we could actually get some skill points with what we've got here in doing Storm's Wake contracts, or we could also look at making some Dark Moon decks, because we could actually get up the next rank for this at the trainer. That's a good point actually, we just hit 100, so there's probably some things we could do there. So let's go back and see what we can buy first. Let's start with that. So let's have a look training wise. Let's see what we're missing now that we're up to 100. There's always something we can add to our inscription, I'm sure. So let's go over here and have a look. Train me in inscription. So gold wise we're doing okay. We have just under 21,000 gold. So we can do the next rank of Dark Moon Card of War. So that's a definite option maybe now that we've got this. I know Dark Moon cards aren't necessarily a big seller. We do need Expulsum for this though. And we need Revered with Tortolan Seekers after that. So maybe this isn't something I can do in mass amounts. Definitely given my amount of Expulsum. I'd have to look into the best way to get Expulsum on this character. I could obviously send some bracers over. That would work. That would be a relatively cheap way of doing it. But we could, let's start with just making a few more of these Storm's Wake contracts. We can actually sell it for a profit at the moment. I'm not sure how many sell, obviously, but for leveling up purposes, we want to get at least a few more. So let's use up some of these inks. Ultramarine, Crimson. Is that the two we need? Crimson and Ultramarine. So let's start with that. Let's go through this. Have I got the right gloves on? Let me have a look. We have Culture and Herbalism. No, we've got the wrong gloves on. So let's just swap out to our Culture and Crafting gloves. Then we can go over to Inscription and do those for the moment. There we go, that's much better. And reputation barriers are so annoying on crafter roles. Yes, definitely. But this is also a blessing as well as a curse, because if it's difficult for the general person to do, and only possible if you're willing to put the time and effort in, then that gives you a advantage basically. If you're willing to put the work in, then you get the rewards. Now, is this the best way of making our inks? I guess it is at this stage. We could... crafting cost is 20 gold. Mat cost coming out 20 gold there for the inks. That's based on the crimson pigment. Still not fully sure on these prices. The pigment's coming out from... the distilled water we fixed. The crimson pigment, it all depends on... that's probably from the cheapest way of getting it from milling, I imagine. But I haven't looked at that yet. We still have yet to look into that further. Let's make some of these ultramarines. It's indented only. Oh, okay. It's uncanny. I love the pun. Pigment prices on the auction house do not reflect the milling value at all, by the way. Yeah, that's what I figured, Rasheen, from looking at this. I figured TSM is getting the mat cost from somewhere different here, because like ultramarine pigment here is at 5 gold mat cost, whereas the min buyout was obviously 9 gold 58. If I was to look at the milling price of some of these, so it'll probably be using the convert price string, I imagine, as a default for this. So Akunda's Bite mill value there gives me, so I'll look at the cheapest of these herbs and it will be what I can get from there. So mass mill all of those. Let's see, well, anchorweed will be a special case, I imagine, because that gives me crimson pigment from that. Sea stalks is just... it does have a small chance of crimson pigment from that. Okay, that's interesting. We can make at least a lot of this ink anyway from what we've got. How many contract storms weight can we make at the moment? We're up to 8 at the moment. So that's a good start. How many is this blocked by? 108. Let's get this to 120 so we can make 10, and that'll get us to 110 hopefully next. Do you go by the proc rate of them? Problem is, like disenchanting, milling gives multiple items. How do you allocate costs? Okay, so yes, you have to take in the proc rate like you would with using the enchanting rod, I imagine. So we'd have to look. Rasheen, you sent me a spreadsheet the other day, didn't you, on showing me all the different proc rates of those. So and Billy's had all that string for all the prices. So that's something to look into in a future episode. I still haven't looked into that fully. So that's one for the future. But for the moment, for skilling up, let's use these Storm's Weight contracts as we're here, and we've got the we can make these the cheapest. We want to get ourselves at least up to 140 ideally. Does the Inscription Tools of the Trade do anything? Oh, I've got no idea on the Tools of the Trade in this one. I haven't heard anything specific about this one, so I don't know for sure. Oh, I don't need to go anywhere actually, I'm just standing here. So whilst I'm here, and we can now train in a Vessel of Mysticism. That looks interesting. That's a couple of Expulsum. Let's train in that. And then we've got the Sinister Combats etched vessel and the Uncanny etched vessel. This would be nice. We could maybe make a few of these. This would be useful. It makes you waste time. It gives you bodyguard NPCs. Right. A bit rubbish then, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right, so we've got a little bit further here. Still not a lot in terms of levelling up. What does our guide say? Our guide says to go to 140 and 140 to 145 is Darkmoon Card of War, and then 145 to 175 is Maroon Ink. Okay, so we really need to get to 140 ideally from looking at this. So that's going to be making a whole load of contracts is the main thing. So contract Storm's Wake is the way to go forward. So Crimson Ink, Ultramarine Ink will need a lot of this. So let's just carry on with this for the moment. Let's make all that we've got. We've got all the pigment here anyway. Right, I think we've got enough Ultramarine Ink. We need more Crimson Ink. So we need to mass mill some stuff, really. And we don't have a lot of herbs here, really. And then we'd have to look at the price of these as well to see which ones to mill. Let me have a look at crafting cost, item value. What's going to be the most useful here? So what would I do here to work out what would be the cheapest herb to mill? I would look at this, and I would look at each of these, and I would look at the price of each of these. So that's got a mill value. Is this, I would assume for each of these herbs it's all the same. 0.13, 0.8, 0.3, 0.13, 0.8, 0.3. So it will depend. I would have, well, it depends what I've got in stock, and it depends what's the cheapest out of each of these. So I would look at each of these herbs, and I would look at, I would guess profit whichever is the lowest of these, like Mass Mill Riverbud would give me a fair amount of crimson pigment that way, but I only have so many of those anyway. So let's switch to that. Look at Riverbud. Let's do 12 of those. Let's have a look at this. So we've got some various pigments out of this. We're just trying to get some raw materials here, really. We've got a fair amount of crimson pigment that way. So Crimson Ink, we can make 79 of those. So let's go that way. That's how I'd probably work that out. That seems to work so far. Right, so we've made a few of these Crimson Inks, which gives us the ability to make another 15 Storm's Wake contracts. So we're obviously going to make an excess of these at the moment, more than we could possibly sell. But that's okay, because the main thing we're doing here is skilling up, and this is how we're going to get ourselves up to 140 preferably. Now this has gone yellow, interestingly. Although looking at that, 7th Legion is still... Oh, or he's bashing me with his foot. 7th Legion is still red. Interesting. So why is 7th Legion harder to do than the other ones? Well, you also need to look at the Nazjatar contracts as well, and the Mechagon ones. Those would also be useful at this point. If we can get this a little bit higher. 7th Legion, the next rank is a drop from 7th Legion supplies. Okay, so how do we get that? Right, so this would be my next thing I would look into and research, because there's that, and there's also the Darkmoon Card of War, which would give us Expulsion from the Viridescent Ink. which we don't have any yet because we need some acacia powder. So we could make some of these out of that, and then make some of these out of that. Would give us an option there. We've only got a couple of expulsum here. So my thought process here is, in terms of leveling up, I want to try with the red things more than anything else. So in terms of Dark Moon cards, I'd give this a go. So what I would do is I'd get Samadan to make a whole load of bracers to make some expulsum out of this, and then I would use this ink here, which we can make because we've got some pigments here. We can make at least 133 of those, and we need 10, so we can at least make 13 cards, which will give us some more skills up, definitely. So we were working our way through this. This isn't too bad. I'm intrigued by this though. The next rank is a drop from 7th Legion supplies. That doesn't really tell me a lot at this point. Supplies is the Paragon chest. Oh really? Is it that much later on? That's going to take me a long time to get that then. I was going to go over here and have a look. Let's go to the standard interface and just have a look at what we've got here. Cache of war resources, scouting map, siege tower and stuff like that. And then we've got some other bits and pieces here. There's the tabard. So it's from the Paragon cache and from the 7th Legion World cache. Okay, so do the invasions, there's good rep there. That's another one as well. Yep, definitely. Okay, thank you for the information. That's useful. So Paragon cache wise, we are honoured, so we'd have to go a long way through for that contract. So that's an interesting one, an interesting development certainly. Oh, just fell off the boat. That's the problem with this mount. So I would be looking at the Dark Moon things here. So I think the next thing I'd probably have to do in my mental list of things is to make a whole load of bracers on Samadan and send some over. Paragon chance recipes, please don't remind me. Still traumatized. Yeah, I can imagine that's a tough one to go for. I'd find that definitely hard. During the week, how much time do I get to do non-auction house related things? Because you might need to do a fair bit of rep farming. Also, don't forget to go back and get the old glyph stuff. Yes, exactly. Well, there's a lot of stuff I need to do here, and I don't, to be honest, have a lot of time outside of this. Usually I'll get on early in the morning and be able to do the odd repost of my existing auctions through my characters. I've been able to play a little bit as Samadan and get through the new 8.3 storyline a little bit, but I'm still a long ways off of getting my first cloak. So my main struggle here is obviously time, and Inscription, obviously with the reputation, needs time, which is a good and a bad thing, because obviously I need to level this up and I want to get the reputations and everything so I can get this profession working, but it also requires an investment. And maybe what I need to do is I'll look at all the different things like the glyphs and what I need to do for each thing, and then set up I'll use the Miro board to work out what I need to do next and have a list of tasks to do, like I did with alchemy. Something like that would work definitely properly. Oh, okay, we do have a couple of sales of contracts, Storm's Wake and 7th Legion. So this will add to Samadan's gold. We're at a very modest 20,000 gold at the moment. So I'm trying to keep Inscription and Herbalism on this character at the moment and level it up within my means. So I don't want to overspend on this character, which is going well so far. It's slow going, that's for sure. Right, let's have a quick look here. Hopefully you get the rocket mount after that though. Right, so Inscription. Sister Combatants Etched Vessel. Oh, this could be interesting. That's at 115. That's the 340 one. The Uncanny one is at 170. Okay. This might help with skilling up though. So let's have a look. What are my options for inscription? Let's have a look here. You're doing it on 14, are you, Blem? But yeah, that's a lot. You're at 31 yourself. Corex was amazing for it. Yeah, Corex was great for getting the ults up. So what have we got here? Contract 7th Legion is still worth doing a skill up for. The Dark Moon cards, I was considering doing these. We need Tortollan Seekers Revered, but that might give me a few good skill ups, but I do need Expulsum for that. So last time I looked at that, I was thinking maybe getting some bracers on Samadan sent over. But for the purposes of trying to level up Inscription a little bit more, I want to get to about 140 at this stage. So let's try a few more contracts here. We need some Ultramarine Ink. So let's do that from here. Let's create it from our pigment. Let's run through this for the moment. See how many things we can do in the time we've got. At least if we can get some skill points whilst we're doing this, then this is a good start, certainly. Okay, we've got 4 contracts we can make. That's 4 skill points, hopefully. Let's keep going for the moment. We may need a little bit more in terms of... Did I actually get a skill up there? No, I didn't. Crimson Ink is something we're going to need, though. So let's finish the Ultramarine Ink. Let's make the 5 that we can make here. And get our skill up points that we need here. Make use of what we've got. So 7th Legion takes us to 130. Okay, so leveling this up, what else do we need? We'll need some Crimson Ink, a little bit more on the Ultramarine Ink, and then, so what would we need for the Crimson Ink? It's a chance of one of these, wasn't it? We need to look at the cheapest one of these herbs and use that. So let's look at my shopping for this. Let's look at my herb situation. So we'll go over to TSM 4 and we'll have a look at our shopping, and we'll go on to, we'll just look at BfA herbs, run a shopping scan on these. I'm looking for the cheapest one. I'm going to use that for my ink making. Obviously not anchorweed at this stage. 5 gold 99 is a really good price for Winter's Kiss, actually. My mat cost here is 653. So let's look at my mat cost actually of these, which is the cheapest based on what I bought them for. Riverbud was at 596. But because the market price has changed so much on Riverbud, I think Winter's Kiss might be a better thing to go for, as there's a reasonable amount available at that price, 563 and 360. So if we buy that, that's going to cost me 3,000. That's a fair chunk of my gold. And let's take the other lot here and buy those for another 2,000. So that's about 5,000 gold spent on herbs. If we go and collect those up and then mill those Winter's Kiss for some inks, that should at least get me a little bit more progress. So let's buy up those Winter's Kiss and then go over here and we'll go on to our Winter's Kiss. We can make 56 of those based off of that. So let's create all of those, and then we've got a bit of all the different pigments, which is going to be useful. So we mass mill all of those, and then we can at least make some Crimson Ink, some Ultramarine Ink, and some potentially a little bit of Viridescent ink if we need it. But we're getting lots of the Crimson here, which is really useful. We'll let that run through. Okay, loads of Crimson Ink here, and exactly the same for Ultramarine Ink, interestingly. That's because I've got exactly that much distilled water. We need to buy some more of that. So let's make a load of this Crimson, and then we can make a little bit more Ultramarine as well. And we'll run through this. I can see how Inscription can you'd be spending a lot of time doing this, making inks. Right, so let's make some, that's probably enough crimson. Ooh, hold on, didn't mean to press that too many. And ultramarine ink, let's make a load of those, and see if we can get ourselves some more contracts going for this. So ultramarine ink, we need a fair amount for this. We'll let this run through. And then how many contracts? If we can make another 5 or 10 contracts out of this with only spending about 5,000 gold, that would be a good point to get to. I know this is a lot of 7th Legion contracts, and we could do with probably spreading it out a little bit. I suspect once we can get to the uncanny vessels, that might be really useful, but we need to get to 170 for that, so that's a little bit further. Easier just to get the vendor gold, in your opinion. You make like 700 a week, that's fair enough. Once you've got that many going, that's plenty. Because we're at 5 7th Legion there, so we probably, oh no, we're up to 6, it's still going up. I'm deciding how many crimson we need versus that. We need to have double that amount, really. So we're at 100 of the ultramarine ink. We really need to be at 160, roughly, for that to work. We've got plenty of light parchment. We can do that, that's fine. We're running out of distilled water. We'll need to buy some more of that. We'll get that in a moment. But if we can make 10 of these, that'll be a great point to try and get our inscription up. We're at 8. So yes, this would have to get to, yeah, we're up to 10 nearly here. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm ready for the whole 10. That will be my main thing. There we go. We're done there. Whoops, escaped too many times. Let's create all of these. I don't know whether it starts to go yellow at what point. We might be okay up to 140. Okay, now we are yellow on that. So we got to 139 out of 175. So, and that's now gone yellow. So we could then move on to the Darkmoon Cards of War. We could probably do with finding some more things. I'll have a look at the WoW professions as to what we need to do next. But we've made some progress on Samadan, which is really good. So I'm really pleased about that. We can post some of those on the auction house if I haven't posted too many on already. Let me just check. Let's just run a post scan. Let's get some of those on. These are below minimum price, so let's just pop them on and see what we can sell them for. So what were we doing since last time? We were doing emissaries mainly. That was my main thing I was looking at. We have a few more we could possibly do here. Proudmoor Admiralty, Wayblade and Cohen is always a good one, and Storm's Wake. So that will give me a weapons cache, item level 415 for that one. My actual item level at the moment is sitting at 408, so that's more than Samadan at the moment. So we have a number of things we can do here, but the thing I would like to do really is get my inscription leveled up fully, because we did get those. We did get the tie spray braces from Samadan to send over. I've done a whole load of ink and all the 3 different inks here. I managed to get a whole load of that. So I should be in a good position to make a few things and get myself up to, I want to get up to 245 ideally. Then I can get myself into a position to make, I need to make the Darkmoon Cards of War really. I've got the Viridescent ink, I've got lots of that. So I need Expulsum for this. So let's head back to the Snug Harbour Inn and pick up my mail. And we'll go from here. Let's have a look at what we can do here with one hand. So inscription we are at. We need to get this up to ideally 140. I've got a list here. I was making this on my Miro board earlier. Let me see if I can find that. And I was going through, Rasheen shared with me ages ago Billis's calculations for working out the profit of all the milling of herbs and things like that. So I need to have a look at that as well. So I've been doing a bit of brainstorming today. I had a bit of time. Let me just close that down. Got too many things open here. There we go. And then I can go into my WoW Goldmaking. This is something I would like to share with the populace in a more sort of formal manner. Can't move my hand away. There we go. Sorry, are you? I was thinking of adding sort of like a link to this for. I was going to set up a Patreon and offer this as one of the Patreon rewards. Now, have I got... I did all my research onto Inscription here somewhere. And I don't know whether it's synced up with my mobile version that I had earlier. It doesn't look like it has. So I may have to look at this in more detail later. Because I don't think... I had a whole load of stuff to do with Inscription here somewhere. Oh, no, here it is. It's this one. I missed it. So this is my brain thoughts on Inscription at the moment. Looks like a ton of steps to do. Yeah, it's a fair amount. It's not too bad. If we look at what I'm looking at here, which is leveling Inscription. So we're currently on getting ourselves to 140. So contracts. Get rank 2 as soon as possible through reputation. Rank 3 through work orders. And then from 140 to 145 we're going to do Dark Moon cards. So we're almost there anyway, so I might use the Expulsum I've got at the moment, because we need 2 Dark Moon cards, no, we need 2 Expulsum per Dark Moon card. So if we go and scrap the braces that Samadan's very kindly sent over, we could probably level up to 145 quite easy with some Dark Moon cards. So let's go over and open that up first. We have some expires here, and we have some sales as well. So let's deal with the expires first. And so we do have a sale of 4 War Scrolls of Battle Shout for 1,100. So that's really good. Let's pick those up whilst we're here. So we're currently at 16,000 gold in total at the moment. Let me move my bags over and you can see that. So this is just from doing things like world quests and questing. I haven't borrowed any money from any other characters. So I'll go and post those on first. So let's go through and do that. I'll run a post scan on... There's a few bits of transmog here. There's a few contracts and the War Scroll of Battle Shout there. And contracts. And then various bits and pieces that may or may not sell. A lot of those are below minimum price for those contracts. That's because I don't think I've set my pricing right on the Crimson Ink yet. I need to go through that. That's what the rest of that Miro board was about, was digesting the pricing, the correct pricing for my pigments, which I'll go into in a moment. But the first thing we want to do here is level up. Okay, so let's go through and start scrapping some of this stuff. So let's queue it up. Now hopefully I'll have enough space in my bags to do all of this. Yeah, we will have, now that we've started on the nylon thread. So the main thing here is just make sure everything is scrapped and we can get some Expulsum going. The more Expulsum the better, hopefully. We've got 3 so far, so that's good. So let's have a look. What can we make? We can actually make 10. Oh, we only need 1 Expulsum for the Dark Moon Cards of War. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, I was thinking I'd need 2. So this should get me easily to... we're aiming for 145 here. So this should be enough. I have no idea what these cards do yet. You combine them for something, I believe. 4 of Schools, 6 of Tides. Let's carry on until we get to 145. Let's do this, and then this one. Let's carry on. Should we make some more? I think I'll leave them for the moment. We're at our exactly what we needed, 145, because now we can go over to Nazjatar and deal with some of the last bit, although I will need some Zenithid for that. And as we saw, the Zenithid prices were quite high. So what am I going to do there? That's going to be interesting. So looking at my... where is it? Looking at my list here on the Miro board. So we have we've got ourselves up to 140 with the Dark Moon cards. So we need Expulsum for that. And then 145 to 175. We need to learn the new recipes for Nazjatar, and then mill Zinanthid for Maroon Ink. That's the next thing to look at on the list. So let's go over and do that. We'll just jump over here, and then head into Nazjatar. Right, let's go have a look at what we need to do, and where's my... they're over here, so let's go over here and learn the new recipes. I believe it's this person, Instructor Okano, train me in Inscription. So now we can pick up Maroon Ink, we'll train in that, and we might as well pick up Notorious Etched Vessel, although we're going to go straight for Uncanny eventually, I guess. And then let's go over, so we've got 145 for mill multiple Zinanthids at once. Okay, so we need to get to 155 for mass mill here. So, in which case we need some Zinanthid. Now, do I actually have any on me? That would be the first question. I do have 25 on me. I don't know if that's enough at the moment. Let's have a look. Maroon ink here is currently yellow. We need maroon pigment. That's the... where's maroon pigment? Mass milling? No, it's not in there. You have to mill a few times with the button. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Under professions. Look at my professions tabs. Milling's a herb skill. Aha, right. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see what I've missed here. So... right, of course, yes. Mill. I did have that, didn't I? Let's go to my spellbook. Abilities. Go to my professions. Milling. This one here. We have it here as our thing. I forget about this. And mass milling, because I haven't done it in a while. So we need to go here, and then we press dash and do that. There we go. It's on my bar. Thank you, everyone. We got there in the end. So it's a bit like picking lock or disenchanting, isn't it? You have to execute the command and then do it. And I was expecting a skill up at this point. I haven't received one at the moment. Let's keep doing it. Maybe I am mistaken. Oh no, no, I'll tell a lie. We don't get a skill up from that. We get it from the maroon ink, and we need distilled water for that. I'm learning still with this inscription. We're getting there now. So distilled water, we'll switch to the regular interface, and we shall buy up, say, so let's buy 1,000. 5 stacks of that. That should keep me going for the moment. Milling is similar to crafting tailoring braces. Sometimes you have to make so many it takes a while. Yes, it does seem to be something like that, certainly. But first I want to carry on with this because we're in the middle of doing this maroon ink at the moment. So let's go through and create all maroon ink. So this will give me my skill up. This should get me to 150, and then we can mass mill after that. There we go. So we got up to 150, so now we can come back here. And then we'll go over here, train me in inscription. Oh, we need to be 155. Okay, my mistake. I need another 5. Ooh, that's going to be tricky. 5 more skill ups in maroon ink. Or we could make Notorious Combatant Etched Vessel, but there's no point really making that. So I'm going to stick with maroon ink, I think. I'm going to have to do a lot more Zinanthid for that, and I don't have any on me, which means we're going to have to buy some. So that's going to be interesting. Now, would I buy them at this current price? Or I could go around and try and farm some up. That's another option. We could go through and maybe pick up a few, but that's going to be slow going. And we do have 16,000 gold on me at the moment. or using the ink from 155 to 175 exactly, so I will need it anyway, so it's certainly not wasted. Izzy Gaming, thank you very much for the follow. So you'll use it even though it's green, exactly. So I need 30 maximum. Right, let's have a look. Let's see if we can find some Xenonthid at a, well, it's not going to be a reasonable price. We already saw earlier it was quite expensive. But what can I buy for, well, I've got 16,000 on me. It's currently at 83 gold now. That's the base price. So it's certainly a lot more expensive than my mat cost of 24 gold. So if we were to buy some out, how much can we afford? Well, if we wanted to buy all of that out, that would cost me 1 million gold to buy 12,000 Xenonthid at that price, which is a little bit expensive. So let's try a little bit less than that. So 12 would be 1,000. So I've got 16,000 on me. So let's try something like 50. So that's 4,000. So that would be a good start. Let's start with that. Only a million. No brainer. Exactly. If only I had a million to throw away. Because it would be throwing it away at that price. Right, let's take that for the moment. Oh, we do have some Tide Spray left, actually. I didn't realise I had some left. We can make some more Expulsum with that. Okay, so let's have a look back at our milling. No, we have to mill it first, don't we? So, bags. Let's mill. So we have to do this a few times to get our maroon pigment. We get a fair amount of it, actually. 2, 3, and 4 procs from there. So that's not too bad. Alright, so we've milled. Well, milled quite a lot of that quite quickly, actually. Or we mill it in chunks of 5 at a time. So that's interesting. So with that done, we now have 35 maroon ink. So let's start on that. This should get me, hopefully, well, we'll stop as soon as we get to 155. There we go. That was quick. So now at 155, we can go and buy mass mill. But we've already done that. But that's going to be useful anyway. So let's do the Xenonthid mass mill. And then we've got Highborn Compendiums left. Highborn Compendium Sundering. So those are interesting. Haven't looked into those yet. You saw about 160 Highborn trinkets from Inscription the past week. Wow, okay. So this could be my my Goldmaker journey starting properly on Samadan with Inscription. So we need to get up there. We need to get to that point. So we need these last 20 points here. So maroon ink we can carry on with whilst it is green, I guess. So let's create all of these for the moment. And then mass mill Xenonthid is here. So that's what we probably needed to do as well. To get ourselves the last bit. We can do this whilst it's green anyway. As we have done this in its current state. And then once that's done, then we're up to 162 already, so that was quick. So let's go over and buy some more Xenonthid. We can probably buy another 50 at 4,000 gold. So let's start with that. Recent searches, did we have Xenonthid on here? No. Let's just do this one as we're here. So Xenonthid at 83. So let's go and buy what we can afford at the moment, 50 at a time. We could go for 100 at this point, but that'll take a lot of our gold out. So I'm just going to do this in small chunks at the moment because I would like to see what I can do with this and what I can make else after this. And I am also conscious I need to jump over to Goldmaking and check on a Silas proc. So I'm going to buy this for now, and then we'll go back over to our mass milling now, which is now green. That's interesting. Whilst that's green, we can only do it in blocks of 20. So I will have to buy a lot of Zinanthid to get the skills up here. Interesting. Obviously I'm going to probably use all this ink. Now, am I better carrying on this maroon ink whilst this is... Actually, no, I can do the maroon ink whilst I mass mill, can't I? So I do 2 of these, then I can make the maroon ink out of what I've just done. That's fine, that would work. Right, so we are done with this bit. How are we doing on inscription overall then? We're at 167 out of 175. So we need more maroon ink. We need to do some more mass milling. We can probably afford to buy some more Zinanthid. So let's go through and buy ourselves, rather than 50, let's get 60, because then we can do 3 mass mills out of that. This is all going to be used up, definitely. So if we buy this, let's buy 60. The important thing here is I'm trying to make use of my own gold here. And so we're going to buy out another 60. That takes me down, though, to just 3,000 left. I don't really want to go too much lower than that. If I can't get up to max level by this, then I'll leave it and see if I can get some more gold. I'll have to make some things. Maybe. Let's have a look. Did I open up my buys? Yes, I did. So we go here and we'll mass mill 3 times. Hope for a proc. We've got 1, not a proc, a skill up rather. And now we can do the maroon ink and hope for some more skills up on this one. Get ourselves up to, well, it would be nice if this stayed green all the way to 175, which it looks like it might do. This could be good. We're up to 171. We may not get up to 175. It'll be close. 172. 173. 174. Oh, so close yet so far. 174 out of 175. We could do a notorious etched vessel just to get ourselves over the mark, but that seems a little excessive. So let's see if we can pick up those new recipes and deal with those in the end. So let's go here, train me in inscription. So let's take these compendiums. These are the new things. These are at 160. Now imagine there's maybe ranks in these. Let's have a look. We learn all of these. Ooh, 174, I know, it was so close. Well, these are definite skills up. These trinkets, though, they don't look like they have ranks, which is going to be useful. We can definitely get ourselves up to 175. It uses Ultramarine Ink, light parchment, and some expulsum. Well, that's good. We can send some more things over, some more braces over, and deal with that. Right, let's get one of these done. Which one of these should I make? So what I would do is, wow, these have got a good min buyout on them. Let me check the TSM on this. And the compendiums have got a sale rate of 0.29 for the sundering one. Your first, usually keep the trinkets up, keep 3 up at a time. They get undercut within 30 minutes. Right, okay, well let's have a look. I'm going to go for the 0.29 highborn compendium. Right, let's make one and get ourselves up to 175. Let's craft one of these. And then highborn compendium of sundering, and we're up to 175. Fantastic. So, with that done, let's go list that one on. So we'll make a new group. So we're going to make a new group under inscription, and we'll call this highborn compendium. Highborn compendium. I'm going to add in this sundering one, and a group operation. Let's have a look. What could we add on this? Crafting standard. Let's have a look at that. And then crafting wise, let's say or 5. Let's create a new operation. Restock quantity 3 is a good one. Set a minimum profit to, let's keep it modest at 10% crafting. Remember, that's profit, not total crafting. And we'll call this 3 of each 10% crafting profit. That should work. So group wise, let's have a look at the Highborn Compendium. We have the 1 on, and we have 3 each 10% crafting profit, and crafting standard, which will give me basically a min price of the maximum between either 110% crafting, 60% DB market, 50% DB region market average, and then that's 300% and 150%. What does that look like on my tooltip for this Highborn Compendium? See if I can find it first. Is it a jewelry? There it is. It's a trinket. So min price is 4,800. Normal price is 7,999, which is what the DB market is, and maximum price is 15. So that's worth it at that point. Let's try that. Let's try posting this on. Let's have a look. So let's go here, auctioning, turn that on, run a post scan. So Contract Storm's Wake are going in, and Highborn Compendium at 7,999. If I can sell one of those, my gold is going to be doubled, quadrupled already. So that'll be a good start if I can get a sale in that. And then I'll see if I can make a few more with what I've got. And I can make a few different ones perhaps. Let's have a look here. What do we need for the compendiums? I've got some Expulsum, so that's something. I've got lots of Ultramarine Ink, and I've got a little bit of Maroon Ink. I'm going to use up a fair amount on that. I need to look at my pricing of these. I still haven't done that yet. And then find ourselves a mailbox and see if we actually had any inscription sales this week. So we have some expires to be expected. We have some Tide Spray that we're going to make into Expulsum. We are selling some War Scrolls of Battle Shout, which is really nice. That's 2,600 gold there. So we're now up to, we've got 4,800 gold. We have a little bit of Tide Spray here we need to go and just process into some Expulsum, so that we've got some of that for making a few things. And then, we've got a few other bits and pieces here. Some of these I might want to ignore. Some of these I might want to scrap. Oh no, some of these are expires of things. Let's get those posted on first. That's what's confusing that lot. Some of this transmog may or may not sell. I'm very much doubtful that it will sell, but we're posting it on nonetheless. It's quite expensive to post on, considering our limited funds, so it's probably not the best use of our time. We're better off gold, but we're better off posting our contracts and things like that, if we can get a sale out of those. There's still a few things I need to do on Inscription, mainly setting the price correctly for all my sort of my inks and things like that. Yeah, I have some here actually, the Tome of the Quiet. Now, do I actually have? I need to look at this one moment. I'm not sure this is set up correctly. Tome of the Quiet. Do I have an actual crafting operation? I do have 5 of each, yes. So let's look at where we're at with this. War Scrolls we don't have a crafting operation. We could probably do with one of those. So let's say 3 of each, 10% crafting profit. That could probably work. 10% crafting, 3 of each War Scrolls. Yeah, that would work for me. Contracts are currently on 5 of each, no profit. I think I'll be better off now doing those with a profit. That would be easier. You start to sell many scrolls now, like 20 in one go. Okay, that's loads. Tome of the Quiet. So let's change that one to 3 of each. And War Scrolls, 3 of each. So let's have a look at that in terms of inscription. Do we have a restock of these? Okay, we do have a few. Now those will be the 5 that are no profit, so let me just take those off for a minute. I only want, now that I've skilled up, I don't really want to be selling things for no profit. So let's look at the contracts here and change that to 3 of each with a 10% profit. There we go. But this isn't going to work fully until I sort out my ink value. That's going to be my next thing I need to do. So what I need to do here is I need to use Billis's string from, let's have a look at my Miro board, where Rasheen showed me the Reddit post that went into this. Just have a look at this, and let me sign in here. Hold on, there we go. They use them on every pool sometimes. Oh right, okay. So these are any of these scrolls, the war scroll of, is it just the battle shout, or is it also the fortitude and intellect that are also selling? Yeah, all 3 sell fine, right? Okay, so we've got some things we can do here on inscription. This is really good. Okay, so what we need to do is, let me just move my windows over. So we have, let's have a look at our war scrolls for a moment. Let's go to setting this up. Make sure we've got this set up correctly. So war scrolls, we've only got battle shout in here. We need to add in the other 2. So let's go and get this on. War scroll of fortitude, let's queue one of those up. And one of intellect. Let's do that one. So let's create those 2 whilst we have them. So we'll add these into our group here. So groups, war scrolls, and then we'll add in fortitude and intellect. We'll add those 2 in there. Oh, you're going for 150 worth. Okay. Right, so we've got that. So now if we go and do a restock of these, we should have some war scrolls to make, some Tome of the Quiet mines to make, and highborn compendiums. Do we need to have highborn compendiums in this list? I'm not sure we do. Let me have a look at them in a bit more detail. Highborn compendium, crafts. Let's have a look. Was that? That's got a 0.2 sale rate. Mystical Bulwark. There's a whole load of different ones here. These are all trinkets that are bind when equipped. The price of herbs on my server. Yeah, they are. Are they? They're pretty expensive at the moment, aren't they? Definitely. Someone plays on a special server, PTR server, which you can make money without selling anything. It seems to be the way, definitely. It's very expensive. Yeah, I think so. From looking at things here. So let's have a look. These highborn compendiums. These are they are BOEs. They are item level 400. So these seem like they would be worth doing from the looks of those in terms of getting a decent eye level trinket up. They're unique equipped. So I see no harm in making at least one of each of these from the looks of things. You sort of don't need to buy over 3 gold. Wow, okay. So I think we should take this highborn one out, this sundering one, and we should make just one each of these. It does require expulsum, and we do have a fair amount of expulsum, so that's a good thing. So what we need to do is we'll make one each of these and see what kind of sales we get. I think that would be the next best thing on this list. So looking at that, ink casting ones are very good, so people accelerate to a new gear and current content might be increased. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So let's go through each of these. Let's change someone to everyone, please. So let's go through and look at this in terms of what I've got. I want to change this group to something else. Crafting one of each would be more useful here. So if I go onto my Highborn compendiums, I've only got the one on, and I don't think 3 of each crafting profit's going to work for me. I'm going to try less of these. I'm going to try maybe 1 of each. So what I'll do is I'll go to my operations, 3 of each crafting profit. Let's duplicate this and make this one. Let's just delete that. Whoops. Let's try that again. Delete that and then go to the beginning and make this 1 of each, 10% crafting profit, and we'll change the restock quantity to 1. There we go. And then we'll go back to the group of the compendiums and we'll change this operation. Instead of 3 of each, we'll change that to 1 of each. There we go. So we have one of these Highborn compendiums already, I believe. Which one's in the group? The one of Sundering, I believe. This one. We have one on the auction house already of this. So let's make 1 each of the other ones. So let's queue up one of those, and Swirling Tides. 1 of each of those. So we need to go and get ourselves some light parchment. We'll just pick that up from the vendor over here. I imagine you'll have some here. If you don't, then a regular vendor. No, we've got some here. So let's use the regular interface and let's get 2 stacks of that. That should keep me going for the moment. And then we'll go over here and then we'll make these ones we can add to the groups that we need. We need more. We need more maroon ink for these. Okay, so these could be quite difficult to get hold of because of the price of Zinanthid, perhaps, given that I don't have a lot here. So let's see, maroon ink wise, how much more maroon ink can we make? We need maroon pigment. Mass mill Zinanthid is here, so we need to buy some Zinanthid if we can get some for a reasonable price. Let's have a quick look. I know Awakening has some. So let's go and have a look here. Look for BfA herbs. Run a shopping scan. And let's see if we can see any Zinanthid for a reasonable price. There is some here, 48 gold. Which is alright actually, considering my average purchase price here is 50 gold. So how much can we buy for this price? We could obviously go and pick some up ourselves. Now, how much can I afford is the question. Probably not much. 100 I can't afford. So I can only afford maybe say 70. That gives me 1,000 left. So I really can't get much Zinanthid at the moment until we've got our gold reserves going. So this could be a bit of a sort of a sink into my prices here. So we might have to do some lesser crafts to try and get some gold reserves up. So that's where we can look into sort of like the Legion inscription and things like that. Also look at the current stuff we've got as well. So there's still options. We still need to grow this inscription. We're still working on very, very limited resources at the moment, but this is all good learning at the same time. So we can mass mill 4 of those. So get ourselves some maroon pigment. That's a decent amount there. So we can make ourselves some maroon ink here. Let that run through. Right, what did I miss those? Kenny's Goblin, those trinkets aren't worth it in your opinion. Do you not think so? I'm going to give them a go on my server because you never know. I'm just going to do 1 of each, definitely. Crafting 1 by 1 can only be possible if you're playing the game all day. Usually craft 5 to 10 of each and just posting and reposting them then. Oh, okay. Are you trying to get Samadan completely self-sufficient? Why not send the resources from Samadan? This is true. I'm trying to keep it I don't know why exactly, but I'm trying to get each character self-sufficient, and I'm trying to keep it a kind of realistic. The only thing I'm really getting from Samadan at the moment is sending some bracers over to get myself some expulsum. That's the main thing, really. Don't get me wrong, it's the kind of limit you'd set yourself as well. Yeah, I think for me, I just wanted, I think with trying a new profession, I didn't want to sort of make it unrealistic in terms of, okay, well, if you did want to start out on a profession, what would work in terms of getting it started? And I wanted to keep it just kind of like I didn't want to be too reliant on my previous successes, really. It's about your profit, definitely. You sold 6 of them yesterday. Okay. Makes more realistic to get the profession to stand on their own. Yeah, especially as I've found with each of my characters having their own pool of gold now, it's quite nice to get a gauge as to how profitable any one profession is at the moment. Average about 8,500 each. Okay. Okay, so there's certainly options here. So let's have a look at what we can make. Let's make the rest of them that we've got here. So back onto TSM, we can make these. We can only make another one by the looks of things. 10 gold per second, right, okay. So if I was going to choose one to make, it would be the Sundering. The second one I would choose would be the Storms at 0.25. So let's try one of those. Ideally, I'd want to have this one as well. I don't quite have enough Zenithid for that. So let's focus on the other things I can make. Tomes of the Quiet Mind, we'll do those. War Scrolls, we'll sell a few of those hopefully. And hopefully if we can get some of these sales, we can feed into the inscription. And the other things we can do in the meantime is look at what we could do potentially from a raw gold perspective. So let's try running a post scan of what we've got here. So Tome of the Quiet Mind, currently telling me a profit. War Scroll of Intellect, currently telling me a profit. So those are all fine. Now I haven't played with my material prices yet, so there's still something to be done there. Well, if I get some sales, then that will be fantastic. We'll see how it goes. We did manage to sell some War Scrolls, certainly, so that's a good start at least. In terms of getting any extra raw gold at this stage, we do have a few bracers we need to just go and get rid of in a moment. We'll do that. And then we'll have a look at probably ignoring... Oh no, we need to put these on a... those highborn compendiums aren't on my list. Hold on. I nearly scrapped those. That would have been a bad mistake. Okay, so highborn compendiums. We needed to add those 2 in. We've still got Darkmoon cars to have a look at as well. That's another... There's loads of different stuff I can look into in Inscription and test the markets out for my server. Right, let's try that one. It's 6,000. So that's a 3,000 profit, and that's a 4,000 profit. If I can sell those, that would be fantastic. We've got those going. Right, so with that done, let's have a look at the scrapper. Right, so let's check the mailbox. So what has sold with Inscription this week? We have some expires. I didn't do a relist yesterday. So we do have some sales, which is fantastic. Now, last time this character only had a maximum of about 10,000 gold at any one time. And we have sold the Highborn Compendium of Storms, the Compendium of Sundering, and the Compendium of Swirling Tides. For a good 6,000 and 7,000 gold each. We've also sold 3 War Scrolls of Battle Shout and 3 War Scrolls of Fortitude. So we have now 24,000, which is going to have to be reinvested straight into Zenithid to make Maroon Ink, which is the next stage I think I need to go into my Inscription journey, as it were, because then we can make some more of these highborn compendiums. They do use expulsum. We do have a fair amount of those, so we need to keep at least a stock of each of these on, and we need to keep some Maroon Ink going. Now currently the crafting cost of this I don't think is fully accurate. In terms of Zinanthid, let's have a look. We can do a little run around here. If we were to look at Zinanthid here, if I was to use, I guess I could use Gathermate and Roots here for this. We'll have a look round. So /roots, if we add one in here. So if we go add, I'll call this Zinanthid, and we'll create Zinanthid root and create root, and then we'll go here into Nashita Zinanthid and we'll go optimize root, and we'll click cluster, and then we'll click foreground, and then we'll check our map in a moment after this is finished. Close that. So we have a little root all the way around here that goes around the edge. I could probably do this in two little circles because there's one point in here I think where you get dismounted, but we'll try it out. We'll see how this route goes, see how that goes. So we should be able to see this on our map if I head on over that direction, and we'll just do a quick loop and see if we can get some. So I've recently got rank 3 of this, so it should be interesting to see how easy this is to farm. I'll just start here and I'll follow my route round and see how easy we can pick some up. Obviously we are now on a Sunday evening, it's prime time, so I'm expecting a fair amount of people to be around. There's one, but it's up at the top, and we've dismounted. Okay, so this is the problem of following the route blindly, is we can end up going into areas that are harder and above ground, or below ground rather. So let me just test this out. See, this is tricky with the caves going up and down and around, but apart from that, this route's not too bad from looking at it. I think I'll finish it at that point, see how I got on. In terms of that, we are now up to 99 Zinanthid, and I think I had about 24 before that, so that's worth to me at the moment 6,600 gold, I would say, looking at all of those, at 69 gold a piece. So that's not too bad for a little run around like that. I would certainly be tempted to do that first thing in the morning when it was a bit quieter. But what I'd really need to do is actually buy some. I mean, it is really expensive at the moment for me compared to other servers, certainly. It's on your server as well, is it? So I'd certainly consider farming that. That's for sure. I mean, in terms of how much can I get out of that at rank 3, let me just check that. We'll go for maroon, mass mill Zinanthid. We can only mass mill 4 of those, we're just one shy of that. So let's do that. And how much maroon ink can we make out of that? 3750 we can do out of that. So we create all of that. Probably need to just swap over to our crafting gloves actually. I wish there was some way of automatically doing this. So we'll go over to these are those. That's a trinket. Why am I not wearing that trinket? Oh, we've got better trinkets. That's why. Where's my armor? There it is. Gloves. Golterian crafting. Let's pick up those, and then we'll do this, and then we'll make our maroon ink this way. There we go. So in terms of maroon ink, let me have a look. So we collected all of those. We can make at least one highborn compendium. So we'd want really ideally to have more than that. Spoony Tam, thank you very much for the follow. So I would say we would probably justify buying a few more Zinanthid, even at the expensive price, to be able to make some more maroon ink. That's the wrong auction house mount. You can't buy anything off a griffin. There we go. We'll go this way and we'll run a shopping scan. And we'll have a look at... So there's Zenithid at 68 gold. There's a reasonable amount there. Let's just have a look. Zenithid, 68 gold, 132. If we were to buy out all of those, that would cost me 8,900 gold. I'll buy those at that price. And then we'll go and mill those. So we will pick up those. And then go straight into mass mill Zenithid. 7 of those. And then from there, we'll go and make 82 maroon ink. That's not too bad. We could probably do with a little bit more though. So we're now at 2 highborn compendiums we can make. 134 maroon ink. I don't think we'll need a lot more at this point though. Reaver's Dicks, thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're doing well. Let's go through and buy a little bit more. Right, so more Zenithid here at 69 gold. So let's buy... Well, we've got 17,000 gold, so we've actually got some gold reserves now. So let's turn this gold into more gold. So let's buy another 100. Cost me another 6,000. That'll do us for now. Sea Stalk's actually quite cheap. If we were looking at a herb to mill, compared to all my other herb prices... Oh no, Siren's Pollen's at 849. It'd be nice if it was under... Yeah, it's still quite high compared to my average buy price, so I'll leave that at the moment. I'll just focus on the Zenith for now. We'll collect this up and we'll work our way through everything. So we're basically mass milling at the moment. Let's actually make this a favourite. Let's mass mill, set that a favourite, and then maroon ink, let's set that as a favourite, so we can do the 2 of these close by each other. That'll make that easier. And then that will get another 68 of those. There we go. So in the meantime, we can at least make 3 more highborn compendiums. So if we look at our restocking of what we've got at the moment, restock selected groups, we can make 1 each of the highborn compendiums. We also need to make some war scrolls of battle shout, which needs some crimson ink. So let's have a look what we can do for crimson ink. Crimson ink, we can actually just make a whole load here already. We've got the pigment as it stands, so let's just make a whole load of that at the moment. So we'll make this lot of crimson ink. We can certainly make a whole load of war scrolls. Maybe it's worth making a few more than the 3 we've got at the moment. Let's restock on what we have now, and then we can build on that in terms of gold reserves later. I mean, in terms of gold, we've still got 10,000 gold left. So in terms of reinvesting, we've not done too badly. If we can sell another 3 of those highborn compendiums, we're certainly going to be able to start getting some turnover with Inscription, and then we can start affording even more materials to then turn into inks and everything like that. So there's definitely options here. Right, so we should be able to make all our things for our restocking. It's telling me an estimated profit of 12,000 gold, so that would help definitely in getting myself into a stronger position with Inscription. Looks like it's got stuck, so let's just try that again. There we go. And then we can get each of these 3 made. Highborn compendiums, and we'll list these on, and then we'll get ourselves into a decent position in terms of gold making. So we'll go here, and we'll go there, and we'll run a post scan. Oh, I've still got a whole load of transmog that I don't think's doing particularly well. I may end up just selling that in the end, because the posting fees aren't that good really for the small amount of, and it's not particularly amazing stuff I'm selling anyway, so I might end up vendoring that. I'll give it another run or 2, but I'll leave that as it is. The main things are highborn compendiums. If I can sell those, That'll be really good. The contracts we're not doing too well at because I haven't got the latest ones. I'm still working on my reputation from that point of view. We still need Honoured in Order of Embers. We need Proudmoore Admiralty. We need to do... Well, we're honoured with Waveblade and Cohen, actually. We should be able to do something with a contract on that front. I haven't actually checked. Let me just have a check of this. Unlearned. Contract and Cohen. We need to do this. We need to be revered. Okay, for that. And then there's the Rustbolt. There's the other two new ones, Rajani and Uldum Accord, so it's probably worth getting those for a little part of it. What else have we got here? Vantus Runes I haven't looked at yet. I've got no idea if they're actually worth doing at this point. I guess Nyalotha. I've actually dropped in Nyalotha. Okay, so that's no good to me. I'm nowhere near that. There are some glyphs here we can have a look at. Discovery from stuff here. That's a drop. And Cohen Supplies. I wonder if we could buy any of those. Blood contracts. I'm not sure about those. Not looked into those at all. And then we've got the Tools of the Trade, which allows the creation of blood contracts. Oh, okay. So you make the blood contracts through the Tools of the Trade. Siphons blood off the dead around you, restoring your own health. Okay. That doesn't sound too great. Okay. So looking at this, I guess the only things I could really do with looking at is the contracts. And Cohen maybe, if I can get to Revered. But I am a fair ways off of that. Let me have a look. Character in terms of reputation. So Waveblade and Cohen. Oh, we're at Honoured already. So that's probably not too bad to do. If we were to look at what we've got, Storm's Wake, Tortollan Seekers, we could probably do with doing that actually. An Order of Embers. We could possibly do with knocking out a couple of world quests here. Tortollan Seekers is going to be useful for more contracts, and we are currently at Honoured on there anyway. Order of Embers is the last one we could probably do with getting a bit higher as well in terms of reputation, and that one is available, and we get a weapons cache from that as well, which could be interesting. Maybe you ought to go over and do that. Other thing to check here at this stage is to look over at my work orders and see if there's anything work order wise that we can pick up. There's a work order for some expulsum. What's that for? Ultramarine pigment. We get 5 expulsum for that. Well, that's worth doing. Let me just double check if there's no other contract work orders on. We'll check on this side. Nothing on that side. Okay, so let's head on back and we'll pick up that expulsum one. Let's go through there. Okay. So, if you've made it that far, we have got Inscription up to level 175 with the current state of BfA at 8.3. We've managed to find ourselves a little niche on our server with the Battle Scrolls and the Highborn Compendiums. There's still a little bit more to do on Inscription in terms of making sure that profits are accurate with the milling costs. There's also a few other glyphs and things like that to look into from the BfA side of things. So the profession is far from complete, but we are in a state where we're actually making money now and we're returning our investment. So whilst this has taken quite a long time to go through and do, it has been by and large a self-sufficient process. The only thing we had to do at the end was get a whole load of tie spray linen bracers to get ourselves some expulsum. We could have potentially got some expulsum some other means, but for me at the moment that's the most cost-effective method. So I won't claim this to be a completely self-sufficient method, but it at least I think helped show my thought processes as I developed this and learnt a bit more about Inscription. I certainly feel like I've got a better mental handle on it now that I've gone through this over a while and I'm starting to understand how everything works together. So what I'm looking forward to next is expanding on the BfA inscription and completing that, and then getting all the reputations that I need. And then what I'm going to do next is do a sort of like a more complete profile, and I'll post that one up when it's done. And then I'll go back and start looking at previous expansions like Legion and everything before that, and see if there's some markets such as glyphs and things that we can possibly make some more money on there. So it's early days still, even though we've been at it for quite a while. I hope you found that useful by me compiling everything together. I did think of cutting it into a much shorter video, but I felt this way you at least saw how I went through the process and my thought processes as I went through the entire leveling up experience. So please do let me know in the comments if you'd rather these long format ones or something a bit shorter, probably a bit of both I imagine. Let me know in the comments, and until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.